Southern Delaware as a powerful winter storm moves east, bringing record cold temperatures. Alex Perez has more from Kentucky.
Freezing rain turning roadways into ice rinks in Oklahoma City. Officials in North Carolina declaring a state of emergency. And snow slamming Kentucky. The state already reeling from flash flooding that left at least 14 dead and neighborhoods submerged in icy waters.
Now, WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast that comes your way at 12:05. The funeral for Joycelyn Wilson will be tomorrow. She died while out on a boat with her fiancé Gary Jones on Lake Oconee on February 8th. That empty boat was found circling in the water with its engine still running later that evening. She was found in the lake the next day. Jones has still not been found. Search efforts are ongoing this afternoon. Wilson's celebration of life ceremony tomorrow at 11 a.m. at Zion Hill Baptist Church on Campbellton Road in Atlanta. Well, crews have recovered the black boxes now from that Delta plane that crash landed upside down Monday in Toronto. All 80 people on board the flight survived, but authorities say 21 people were injured, including one child. 2 people are still in the hospital today. The black boxes are now going to be analyzed. And the CEO of Atlanta-based Delta Airlines speaking publicly today for the first time since that plane crash.
Ed Bastian tells CBS Mornings this is the exact situation crew members prepare for.
The crew on board the plane, our Endeavor crew, performed heroically, but also as expected. This is what we train for.
80 people were on board the flight. 21 people were injured as a result.
This incident, as terrible as it appears, was something that we'll learn from. They'll make us better.
He also says while there have been several aviation incidents in recent weeks, air travel in the U.S. is still the safest available mode of transportation. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
This is new here at noon. Duracell has picked Midtown Atlanta for its new global headquarters for research and development.
The battery maker will invest more than $50 million in the facility at Science Square adjacent to the Georgia Tech campus with a planned opening date of summer 2026. With it comes 110 job opportunities. The governor's office making the announcement this morning, with Brian Kemp saying Georgia has set itself apart as a leader in attracting innovative companies with our research institutions, world-class logistics network, and pro-business environment. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
A postal worker in Ackworth busted for stealing credit cards. According to police, mail carrier Bianca Wheat was arrested after complaints from residents on her route that credit cards were missing from their mailboxes and those cards were being used. Investigators believe that Wheat worked with others to steal those credit cards and identities, charging thousands of dollars. And this noon, she's behind bars facing numerous felony charges. This is also new here at 12 o'clock. Federal authorities have busted what they say is a criminal ring breaking into the homes of prominent pro athletes. The U.S. Attorney's Office saying that the 7 men from Chile were members of a South American group that burglarized homes of NFL and NBA stars in Kansas City, Tampa, Memphis, and Cincinnati from October through December. An unsealed indictment says the suspects stole more than $2 million worth of valuables, each suspect facing up to 10 years in prison if convicted. Georgia's most populous county is sharing lessons this afternoon that they learned from a massive cyber attack and has an idea to help shield others.
It's now been a year since Fulton County's first of 2 back-to-back ransomware attacks by the cyber gang Lockbit.
They shut down all of our systems and held us hostage.
County Commission Chair Rob Pitts says one of the most important steps was refusing to use taxpayer money or any money to pay the ransom. Now he wants to make it impossible for other lawmakers to have to struggle with that decision.
I'm working with our state legislature to enact such a law here in Georgia that will prohibit any local entity from paying a ransom in the future.
At least 3 states have similar legislation. Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
All right, let's check your money as we take a look at the markets. The Dow is down 82 at 44,473. NASDAQ is also down. The S&P is actually up slightly here on your lunch hour. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center with a look at the roads.
Going to have to up this to a travel advisory into Stockbridge, Sabrina. It's a crash involving a few tractor trailers. 75 southbound, Highway 138, exit 228. Right now, they're holding all lanes. 2 left lanes. Yep, they are going to hold all lanes. Try to get this off to the right. 75 south, Highway 138, jammed up from Mount Zion. You can use 675 south as an alternate. And still trying to clear up this crash around the airport. 285 northbound, the inner loop, just north of I-85. They're in the right lane there. It is causing delays, but no need for an alternate just yet. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It is time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official heating of winter. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Rain showers making their way out of metro Atlanta through the course of this afternoon, staying cloudy and cold, high 45. That Arctic blast arrives tonight as temperatures fall into the mid-20s tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, sunny but not much of a warm-up, daytime high 37. Wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour, so wind chills feels like conditions will stay in the 20s through the afternoon. A hard freeze in the forecast Friday morning as lows dip into the upper teens to low 20s. Friday afternoon, sunny, high 46. Saturday, another hard freeze. Morning low 26, afternoon high 52. Temperatures rebound on Sunday, morning low 32, afternoon high 55 with a sunny sky.
We do have some rain and 44 degrees in Midtown Atlanta. It's 41 in Douglasville. Lilburn has 42. More news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. Glad to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be happy to have you. I'm a little discombobulated. I'm in my flagship station studio, and I've messed up and rearranged the microphones, and Kobe was smart enough to figure out which one I was on, and I was dumb enough to not realize it. In any event, I am glad to have you. Y'all, look, I'll take your phone calls, and if you text the word data to 33777, you can subscribe to the show notes. I want to start with the Ukraine stuff because I'm a bit flummoxed by it. There is actually a lot of data out right now that shows that no one in this country really likes the Russians, nor does anyone trust the Russians. In fact, if you want to put in perspective where things stand, more people in the United States of America believe that the moon landing was a hoax, and that's about 15% of the public. More people believe the moon landing was a hoax than believe we can trust the Russians. Less than 10% of Americans believe we can trust the Russians. So I'm trying to, and for those of you who want to say I'm an apologist or some such, can we have a me thinking out loud conversation? And I need to caveat this entire open today with this is me thinking out loud, trying to rationalize some different thoughts, because it was very wild yesterday to hear Donald Trump blame the Ukrainians for the Russian invasion of Ukraine. To be clear here, contrary to what a lot of Russian sympathizers say, and you should understand, some of the loud pro-Russian voices on social media on the right are actually paid under the table by the Russians. It's been well documented. The Russians have been trying to pay right-wing influencers to seed Russian propaganda. There's actually a series of indictments over a couple Canadians, as a matter of fact, who built up an online profile on the right to seed Russian disinformation, misinformation, Russian propaganda, among other things. One of the things that these people claim is that the reason Russia invaded Ukraine was to stop Ukraine from being part of NATO. That's not actually true. I know there are people on the right who've convinced themselves it's true, but it historically is not actually true. If you walk back in history, here's what happened after the fall of the Soviet Union. Ukraine became its own nation, and it had a stockpile of Soviet-era nuclear missiles. The Russians and the Americans went to Ukraine and said, if you'll give the nuclear missiles to Russia, the United States and Russia will guarantee to protect you. Ukraine gave up its nuclear stockpile, disarmed itself, and then Vladimir Putin takes over Crimea when Barack Obama's president, then invades Ukraine as a whole, wants to take it over. Now, these Russian propagandists in the United States say the reason is because Ukraine was going to join NATO, which actually isn't true. They had taken it off the table. What Vladimir Putin himself said is that he wanted to rebuild a Russian sphere of influence, and Ukraine should be part of Russia proper. Why? Because if you go all the way back to Catherine the Great invaded Crimea, took it over from the Turks, built a Russian colony there, and therefore Ukraine is Russia proper. If you will recall, the Russian Orthodox Church, it started in Kyiv. Kyiv was the original area where Russian influence began. It slowly moved north towards Moscow. Historically, it started, the Russian sphere of influence started in Kyiv, or the Russians would say Kiev, and headed to Moscow. And so Russia has always viewed this Ukrainian area as part of its sphere of influence. And Vladimir Putin, when he invaded, said he wanted to rebuild the Russian sphere of influence. NATO actually was not a thing in his mind until it became a wedge to drive into the American conversation to try to divide people and blame it on NATO, seeking their discord on the right over NATO to divide people. That's historically what happened. So Ukraine did nothing to cause the invasion itself, and for Donald Trump to blame Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday was caused a lot of people to scratch their heads. And in fact, the talking point today is that Donald Trump is siding with the Russians in this. Let me read you this commentary from John Podhoretz at Commentary. Over the past week, Donald Trump has been talking himself into becoming an enemy of Ukraine. It seems he needs to feel this way in order for him to do what he wants to do, which is impose terms of surrender on a sovereign nation that committed the crime in his eyes now of refusing to allow Russia to take it over. That is the only logical way to understand Trump's utterly despicable comments this afternoon. Annoyed, apparently, that Ukraine's democratically elected leader objected to negotiations to which he was not invited, negotiations over a war in which he was one of two combatants, Trump literally blamed Zelensky and the country he leads for the war itself. Quote, today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it. 3 years, you should have never been there. You should have never started it. You should have made a deal. You should have never started it. What madness, what cravenness, what repulsive fastidiousness is this? Volodymyr Zelensky offended him by raising the perfectly logical problem of a negotiation that included him out. And so Trump began talking about Ukraine's leader as though he were Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, who hasn't permitted a vote on his leadership in 2 decades. Trump, by the way, has gone on a tirade today about Zelensky and the Ukrainians. Now, just follow along with me here, because I'm trying to synthesize and rationalize things that may be completely irrational. I am thinking out loud. This isn't an endorsement necessarily of the proposition, but the reason I'm doing it is because the public statements of Donald Trump over the last 72 hours have become increasingly sympathetic to Russia and hostile to Ukraine, even as over 90% of the members of the Senate, including almost 100% of the Republicans in the Senate, say you cannot trust Russia. The Russians are bad, and Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. What the heck is going on? I have had some background conversations with people close to President Trump because I actually care about the Ukrainian issue. I think that Russia is trying to rebuild a sphere of influence. Russia is now an ally of China. They are our enemy. They are not our adversary. They are our enemy. And it is very clear to me that what is shaping up before us is a Eastern Axis powers of Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea trying to rival the Western allies. So I've had these conversations with people close to the president who are familiar with this thinking. And all of them have said to me, and every single one of them, these have been separate conversations, every single one of them have said to me that privately Donald Trump understands what's going on, that privately Donald Trump is on the side of Ukraine, and privately Donald Trump is not going to leave Ukraine behind. But Donald Trump also believes that there must be a peaceful settlement, that we can't continue to keep funding Ukraine, given domestic issues and our need to realign positions to take on China. And he's trying to force Ukraine to recognize it is going to have to give up territory. So let me posit something to Donald Trump's credit. And I know I'm going to get lit on fire by the people who are very pro-Ukraine, as I am, but very anti-Donald Trump. Just let me throw this out there. Here's what I think is happening based on the private conversations I've had with people in the White House, synthesizing them to Donald Trump's public statements. I think that Donald Trump is trying to convey to Ukraine that they're going to have to come to terms with losing territory. And I think that what Donald Trump is doing is luring the Russians into a negotiating table to throw them off their footing when they sit down and realize that the American negotiators are not as sympathetic to their position as Donald Trump is publicly leading them to believe. I am willing to say maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's wishful thinking, but y'all, seriously, I've had conversations with people, y'all would all know the people I'm talking to, trying to ascertain what exactly is going on here. And everyone that I have talked to, and I don't think I'm being played because these are people I've known for a very long time. We have good relationships. We're friends, and all of them say behind the scenes privately, Donald Trump actually understands what's at stake. He understands that the Russians cannot be allowed to grow their sphere of influence again, and that the Russians and the Chinese are in bed together. He understands this, but he also understands that Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainians have this idea still that they're going to be able to get all of Ukraine back, and no one thinks that's possible anymore. So how do you rationalize these private conversations and the public statements? And that is, he's trying to do two things: to make the Ukrainians realize they're going to have to come to terms with giving up some territory, and also throw the Russians off their game by showing up at a table full of American negotiators who they think are actually allied with them against Ukraine because of the president, and they're going to be completely thrown off when they get there and realize actually the Americans are pretty pro-Ukraine. I mean, I know Rubio is pro-Ukraine. Rubio does not like Vladimir Putin. Rubio does not trust Vladimir Putin. That's the only way I can rationalize what's going on now. But I got to say, I don't think the public statements of the president are super helpful. I think the public statements of the president are actually going to possibly make Zelensky and the Europeans get their back up and decide, actually, we're going to cut the Americans out and we're going to go all in, and that could exacerbate a war. But I don't know that I'm willing to rush where friends of mine are, thinking that Donald Trump is throwing Ukraine under the table. I think this is the way Donald Trump negotiates. And you and I might not like it, might not be comfortable with it. They might not be comfortable with it. But I think that's actually what's going on here, is that this is an effort by Donald Trump to push the Ukrainians into a negotiated position that he knows they're ultimately going to have to take, while also throwing the Russians off their game, thinking they're going to get a more sympathetic hearing from the United States than they otherwise would. The common tie in all of this is, from what I'm told very privately, and I'm allowed to mention it, just can't credit the people talking to me about this, is that the President of the United States is understanding that Russia and China are now our enemies. And Donald Trump is trying to keep them unbalanced through his public statements that they interpret in a way that the rest of us are interpreting exactly as the Russians and Chinese are meant to interpret them. And privately, Donald Trump has completely different views. That's the only way I can reconcile what I'm being told privately from what I'm seeing publicly from the president, is that he's playing a game of negotiation and does not necessarily mean the things he's publicly saying about Ukraine, but hopes that the Russians and the Ukrainians believe it so that he can get Ukraine to finally realize they're going to have to compromise and get the Russians to a negotiating table thinking that we're going to be on their side when we're not. Again, I'm talking out loud here, thinking out loud. I'm trying to synthesize for you all of the conversations I have with the people around the president who insist he gets it, he knows what's at stake, and he knows that we got to save Ukraine from Russia, but also that Ukraine has to understand it's going to have to compromise. That's where I am. That's where my head is, that I think that he's playing a game, even if his words seem unsettling to a lot of people right now.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1220 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory continues I-75 southbound into Stockbridge. Crash, really just a right lane, at times just the right shoulder open at Highway 138, exit 228. You're jammed up out of Morrow. You can use Highway 1941 or I-675 south as alternates. Earlier crash all off to the right by the airport, 285 and northbound, the inner loop just north of I-85. Still some delays as you come up from Flat Shoals, but those are starting to improve. And 85 southbound out of Gwinnett, little sluggish from Pleasant Hill Road in Duluth, trying to get down to Pleasantdale Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When the weather is at its worst,
Strong winds, heavy rain, and tornado warnings as severe weather rolled through the metro.
we're at our best.
Extremely large tree that came down, and because of the large weight and size of the tree, it made it an extended operation.
Stay prepared for whatever Mother Nature has in store.
Georgia Power and the EMC is reporting 261,000 people in the dark.
With your severe weather station, 95.5 WSB.
Welcome to Window Wisdom with North Georgia Replacement Windows. We are here with the owners and experts, Ted Kirk and Jonathan Cullum. So Ted, you guys have some incredibly exciting news to share with people looking for window and door replacement.
Yes, we do. We were blessed to move to a bigger, better location, and that makes window and door shopping so simple for our customers. The new location's already helping make our business more efficient, and everyone loves the Infinity from Marvin experience, where you could see for yourself the fiberglass difference side by side compared with other types of windows like vinyl composites.
What can someone expect when they visit your beautiful new Alpharetta showroom?
First of all, expect to meet some of the most educated window and door experts in the business. Our people really make a big difference. They are the very best in the industry. And we have so many window and door styles on display that you can see the difference in quality for yourself. Our showroom also includes some of the newest technological advances available in windows and doors.
Now, do you need an appointment for a showroom consultation, or can I just drop by?
You can just drop by. We're open Monday through Saturday, and we'd like to personally invite you to schedule a time to meet with someone at our showroom, or we'll bring samples to you for an in-home appointment. The showroom really makes it easy for you. Stop by and see the beautiful Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows in person. They'll improve your home's energy efficiency, comfort, and curb appeal. And we promise a stress-free experience, including a quick, accurate proposal without the pressure or pricing games.
And what about any special discounts or offers available for anyone who visits the showroom or has you out to their home?
Absolutely. We have some special offers going on, including smart money plans with 0% interest.
And right now, get up to 20% off your project, plus up to 18 months no interest, no payment financing. Visit ngwindows.com today for all the details.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
Belinda Skelton here for Virtual Imaging, and I have their Chief Operating Officer, Barry Petrie, here in the studio. Barry, tell us what Virtual Imaging is all about.
Thanks, Belinda. Great to be here. So we have been in business for 15 years, and what we do is we empower folks in the Atlanta area to come in and advocate for their own health and scan for things like heart disease, cancer, aneurysms, and other ailments as well.
How important is it for folks to get that heart scan?
Very important. Heart disease is the number one killer of Americans, so that's the most important test we want to get as a baseline. Most Americans will die as a result of cardiovascular disease. So if you're going to get one test, that's the one you want to get. And that test will quickly tell you if you have any calcium or plaque in your 5 arterial pathways. The scan itself will take less than 10 minutes, and you will get your results within a day or two.
Barry, I know that Virtual Imaging screens for so many different things. Tell us what some of the areas of the body you screen for.
We can do anything from head to pelvis. So we can do the heart scan, we can do the head scan, we can also do what I call a core body scan. So So that's looking at all those areas between your neck and your pelvis. We're looking for aneurysms. We're looking for tumors. We're looking for cancer, any of those things. So think of this as an ability to do a very wide screening area of the body.
This is Heart Health Month, so you have an offer for us.
Anyone who calls in will get a free heart scan for you and a spouse.
And that number to call is 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Go to virtualimagingatl.com.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Governor Kemp is protecting consumers from high costs and standing with small businesses.
A failure to act on meaningful tort reform will continue to put Georgians and their livelihoods in serious jeopardy.
Georgians are paying a hidden tax because of a broken system, over $5,000 a year. Car insurance, health care, everything costs more. Call Senator Strickland at 404-656-0508. Tell him to stand with Governor Kemp and pass tort reform. Paid for by Protecting American Consumers Together.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. Giving you the truth, not the talking points. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. I know what it is. I turned on the live stream on Twitter, and now I've freaked us both out. It comes through. That's what's going on here. I muted it. We're fine. That's on a real delay. My goodness gracious. In any event, the phone number here, 877-973-7425. Be patient with me. Short segment. I got stuff I got to get through, including the disappointment of a listener. I should read you the tweet. This is the things that I humor you all with, because everyone has expectations of your host. Everyone interprets your host in different ways. And so I should read you the upset tweet of Kev. I'm very disappointed by you, Eric. I have been listening to you every day since 2018. You're one of my favorite persons on the right, but lately I feel like you're refraining yourself from talking about some mistakes the administration has made. The shocking one was the Eric Adams issue. The way you downplayed it was very surprising. Furthermore, you seem to avoid the comments made by the president yesterday regarding Ukraine starting the war. Eric, please. You have always been one of the most honest on the right. Please don't change now. From a nobody listener who really appreciates your work. Kev. I guess you missed what I said about the Eric Adams quid pro quo situation, the firing of the U.S. attorneys, or maybe the criticisms of Trump for firing the archivist of the United States. Or I hope you didn't miss in my opening monologue now, where I'm trying to synthesize competing information, public statements that I think are bad versus what I am told about the private thinking of the president from the people close to him. My job is to keep everybody informed. It is not to rail on the president. It is not to beat people up, but to tell you what's actually going on. This is the wild thing, though. The people who started listening to me because they think I agree with them on Trump. You know, as I've said, he's not my cup of tea, but I also like a lot of the policies I'm getting from him. And sometimes you just got to balance it out and try to figure out what exactly is going on, because there is a lot happening. Things are moving fast, and all I can do is tell you exactly what I think. What I will promise you, Kev, is that I will never tell you something that I don't actually believe is true. If you don't like it, well, that's on you. Now, I will tell you, for example, that I like the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. My buddy Matt, his wife is pregnant again. And I don't know if I need to explain to them how exactly this whole pregnancy thing works, but nonetheless, he was showing me last night a picture of his Eden Pure Thunderstorm because his wife has such bad morning sickness induced by smells that he's having trouble cooking anything for supper. So while she's out of the house, he cooks and then fires up the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, and it wipes out the odors. So when she gets home, she doesn't smell it and throw up everywhere from the morning sickness that she's having in the evening. They work. They wipe out all odors. No odor can stand up to the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. You put in the discount code ERICK3, Eric3, and you get 3 of them. You save $200. You get them for less than $200, and they just work. You can plug it up with a USB cord. You can plug it into the wall. It gets rid of pet dander, dust, pollen. It gets rid of bacteria and viruses, 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, and it wipes out every odor. No odor can stand up to it. It just works. And also, it's small. I keep one in my travel bag. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code ERIC3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hi there, good afternoon. It is 12:30. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This is a big deal. Duracell is going to invest more than $50 million in a new facility in Midtown Atlanta. It's going to be at Science Square adjacent to the Georgia Tech campus. It's going to mean about more than 100 jobs with a planned opening date of the summer of next year. Your weather for today, there might be a little snow up in the North Georgia mountains. In fact, over an inch in some mountain communities. For us here, though, in metro Atlanta, just rain and cold temperatures, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up in just a matter of minutes. Several streets here in Midtown Atlanta is going to be closed tonight for a film shoot by Tyler Perry Productions. The closures are in the area around the Tech Square and they include sections of Ponce de Leon Avenue, West Peachtree, Spring Street, and William Street. Now, the closures will be in effect from 9 tonight until 6 tomorrow morning. Police and fire officials will be on hand to kind of help motorists navigate around the impacted streets. The filming is for the second season of the Netflix series called Beauty in Black, and there is a map of the closures if you want to take a look on our website, WSBradio.com. Well, a county lawmaker hopes to help shield governments statewide from cyber criminals using ransomware to seize control of computers. Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitt says when they were hit, the county refused to hand over taxpayer money.
We work to retake control of our systems from the cyber criminals. And one of the most important steps taken during this attack was our refusal to pay a ransom to the criminals.
And Pitts is urging state lawmakers to pass a law now banning any government body from paying ransoms, hoping that it could discourage cyber gangs from targeting our state. Arrest in the recent home burglaries of celebrities, including the most recent one at Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's home in L.A. Those arrested were from Chile. Former FBI agent Brad Garrett.
Whatever they can turn stolen goods into cash, they then wire the money back to their homeland, and then they leave.
Federal prosecutors in Tampa have charged those 7 men in connection with the break-ins. Now your kids' safety. In Washington, a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing today on child safety online.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children receives 100,000 reports to its cyber tip line every single day.
Senator Dick Durbin plans to introduce bipartisan legislation that is meant to make the internet safer for our kids. It's 12:32.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects, now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now. 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
Remodeling your home's exterior requires expertise, experience, and attention to detail. That's what I built my business on. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors. I'm the siding and windows expert you hear on the Home Fix-It Show with decades of experience for all things exterior. Windows, siding, painting, roofing, decks, doors, and gutters, all with unmatched quality and craftsmanship. Even the small details are a big deal to us. Get your free estimate, Google Nelson Exteriors.
All right, Alex Williams, how are we looking on the roads?
Much better news. Crash clearing out of the left lane. 75 southbound, Highway 138, exit 228, but still slow out of Morrow. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy with rain showers moving out of the metro region. Temperatures dropping from the mid-40s this afternoon into the 20s through tomorrow morning.
More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Tell you the truth, because the truth is what matters. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be sending an email out here in just a few minutes. The city of Clarksdale, Mississippi. Clarksdale, Mississippi got they decided to avoid a special meeting to raise taxes. I want to read for you the editorial of the Clarksdale Press Register. This is important for every single person. I don't care where you are in the United States. I got to explain this to you, but first, I need to read to you the editorial of the Clarksville Press Register. Your Clarksdale Press Register will be the first to say that a sin tax that would pay police to fight crime in Clarksdale is a good idea. So why did the city of Clarksdale fail to go to the public with details about this idea before it sent a resolution to the Mississippi legislature seeking a 2% tax on alcohol, marijuana, and tobacco? Mayor Chuck Espy has always touted how open and transparent he is, and he is not like previous administrations of the past 30 years. His quotes. So why did Espy seek a special called meeting of the Board of Mayor and Commissioners to finalize details of this move? The notice was posted at City Hall as required by law and said it would give appropriate notice thereof to the media. This newspaper was never notified. We know of no other media organization that was notified. But back to what the city was trying to do. Yes, there are deadlines for submitting legislation to Jackson, but this tax has been discussed in at least 2 meetings and has been reported in the pages of this paper. Have commissioners or the mayor gotten kickback from the community? Until Tuesday, we had not heard of any. Maybe they just want a few nights in Jackson to lobby for this idea at public expense. As with all legislation, the devil's in the details and how legislation often morphs into something else that benefits somebody else. An idea that sought to pay police higher wages for the toughest job in any community is admirable. But the way the resolution sought by the city of Clarksdale is now written gives us cause for concern. The money, our money, can now be spent to support and promote public safety, crime prevention, and continued economic growth in the city. Does this mean the fire department, 911, Chamber of Commerce, and their pet projects? Does that promotion mean giving away candy at Halloween, toy giveaways at Christmas, and hosting events where politicians can hand out goodie bags to voters? This newspaper feels the original intent serves the purpose of all, putting police on the streets of Clarksdale. More police will lead to more patrols lead to more arrests will lead to less crime, and less crime will make us all feel safer in our homes and neighborhoods. Our Clarksdale Board of Mayor and Commissioners have stubbed their toe on this one. They took a good idea, let their focus drift, and made us suspicious. Essentially, trying to push through a resolution to hire more police with a tax increase, but then the actual language of the resolution would allow them to spend the money on all sorts of pet projects, not just the police. Here's why this is important for every one of you. The other day, the Vice President of the United States of America went to Germany and lectured Europe on its disdain for free speech. The city of Clarksdale, Mississippi, after this editorial came out of the local newspaper, got a court to direct the newspaper to delete its editorial criticizing city officials without even a hearing. That's right. Chancellor Crystal Wise Martin did this. Crystal Wise Martin, the chancellor in the Chancery Court of Hinds County, Mississippi, has issued a restraining order to the Delta Press Publishing Company, doing business as the Clarksville Press Register, telling them not only are they supposed to delete their editorial, but they're also supposed to take it offline so that no one can see it. The editorial, by the way, appears to be true. The city submitted an affidavit admitting from the clerk that she just plumb forgot to notify the media about the proposed resolution for taxes. The city, however, resents the suggestion that it was trying to hide something by calling a special meeting and not telling the media. This is wild. A court order directing a newspaper to delete an editorial criticizing public officials without even having a hearing. So naturally, I have a copy of the editorial, and I'll be emailing it to everyone today so it can be in wide circulation. And those of you listening on all my fine affiliates in Mississippi should know what the city of Clarksdale, Mississippi has tried to do. The city of Clarksdale, Mississippi has tried without public notice to raise taxes on its citizens, and in a way that they altered prior discussion. So originally they had discussed raising taxes to pay for police, and now they've decided to raise taxes to pay for police or do anything in the economic interest of the city. It's a big change from what they originally said. At a time the United States is lecturing the rest of the world on the free press and free speech, Clarksdale, Mississippi, and the Hinds County Chancery Court have decided to shut down a free press, and we should all be worried about that nationally and put the spotlight on it. Now, to the phones we go. Dwayne, you're going to be up first. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, hello. Good afternoon.
Welcome.
I was just listening to the first part about what Trump is doing or what's in his mind regarding relationship between the U.S. and Russia. And I think what he's doing is he's looking long term down the road, which we as a country should do. And what he sees a bigger threat to the United States, which is China. I agree with that. I think China is the biggest threat to the United States. And what's one of the things you could do to kind of reduce that threat is drive a wedge between Russia and China. I mean, Russia's gotten too friendly with China, and we know why. There's a lot because of the last 4 years. But at this point, if someone said, who do you trust more, Russia or China? I'd say I'd trust Russia more than I trust China. So if you can bring Russia back toward the West in kind of their relationship and remove that friendliness toward China. Russia and China never really got along with each other historically.
Correct.
So that's two countries that should not be getting along with each other.
Yeah, okay. So Dwayne, I agree with you, but here's the problem. There's also been this Western fascination over the last 50, 60 years to say that, the Russians are really Europeans. But actually, if you listen to the Russians long ago, around the time of the Soviet Revolution, decided that they weren't Europeans, they were Russians, and they were a distinct people. And so people in the West are always like, we should bring them back into the Western fold, which we really tried to do after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Union. But the Russians themselves don't want to be brought into the fold. Vladimir Putin's own words are he wants a sphere of influence. You're absolutely right, Dwayne, that the Chinese and the Russians have never really gotten along. And Xi Jinping really wants to be the dominant partner of the relationship, and Putin thinks he's going to outfox Xi Jinping. Putin is a fool. But the idea there is this strain among the Westerners, particularly on the right, that the Russians are white Europeans, we should bring them into the fold if only we had reintegrated them into Europe. But if you actually listen to the Russian thought leaders and you listen to people like Vladimir Putin, the Russians are Russians. They don't view themselves as Europeans, and they haven't for the past 100, 150 years. They view themselves as a distinctly unique people who should be entitled to a sphere of influence of the Slavic people of Eastern Europe. And they don't want to be integrated into the West. They want their own sphere of influence. And frankly, there are people surrounding Donald Trump who have made this case to him that, oh, we can integrate them back into the West. They belong to the West. If you read any of the prevailing Russian thought leaders of the past 100 years, including those who influence current Russian policy, none of them would agree with that. They all believe the Russians are their own people and that the Slavic people of Eastern Europe should be in the Russian sphere of influence, distinct and separate from Europe and from China. And if we can understand that and not get into this deluded thinking of, oh, they're white Europeans, they should be with us, then we can actually deal with the situation, I think. Jim in Jacksonville, Florida, you're up next.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, hi. Hey, hello, Eric. Good afternoon to you. As you were speaking earlier of the Ukrainian war and in the attempt to get some negotiations going, I think it was, number one, I think it was very wrong not to have included Ukraine at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't hear much about sovereignty, and that is key. I think sovereignty, Eric, is on par. Let's put it on par with we are a land of laws. That's what's said of America. We may be a land of laws, but we're not very good on enforcement. I don't see a lot of people going to jail who should be, in government. So I regress. Let me go back.
All right, you got to focus here, Jim, because I only got a limited amount of time.
Okay, so here we go. I hear nothing about reparations. And in my view, Putin is a war criminal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a court to claim him as that. He allowed, at the onset of the war, the troops to rape and pillage like barbarians, okay? He could have cut that off, and he didn't. He is a war criminal, and it's very disturbing to me that on a call with Trump, as Trump revealed, Putin is to come to our country and Trump's to go to Moscow. I think that's I don't want him here.
Yeah.
I don't want him here. I think that's a disgrace. People could make the argument, well, Netanyahu came here. Netanyahu was claimed a war criminal, or maybe that's they're still holding out.
Yeah,
for that.
They're still claiming. I see your point. Yes, we don't need or want Vladimir Putin to come to the United States. He actually is a war criminal, unlike Benjamin Netanyahu. Not only did the Russians invade Ukraine, the Russians have kidnapped thousands and thousands of Ukrainian children. That doesn't get a lot of notice. There's actually a story today about this. The Russians actually kidnapped a lot of Ukrainian children and took them back to Russia to indoctrinate them into the Russian sphere of influence. Mike in Jacksonville, Florida, you're up next. Welcome.
Yeah, hey, Eric, I agree with you. It's the beginning of a high-stakes chess match, whatever you or poker game. Here initially, it's just the beginning of the negotiation, so I agree with you. The thing that has surprised me about the Ukraine-Russia conflict is the lack of coverage by the mainstream media, including Fox News, as far as the human toll. I'm 68 years old. I remember the Vietnam War. We're still not over the Vietnam War, and we only lost 60,000 men and women in that horrible war. There are over, 300,000 people that have been killed in this war?
Mm-hmm.
And you just mentioned the children that have been kidnapped by the Russians. We have not been informed about that. I mean, I grew up in an era where Dan Rather was in the jungle with Charlie Company reporting, from an operation to Vietnam. Walter Cronkite had the head count every night as far as the number of Americans that had died. We're sending billions over there into the Ukraine in unaccountable money, and we don't get reporting. I mean, are we winning the war with the borrowed money that we sent to the Ukraine, further putting the taxpayers in debt?
Well, okay, yeah. So, Mike, you're right, and we should have more coverage. And in fact, we do know today there actually is a report that the Russians have lost over 850,000 soldiers in Ukraine, far in excess of what Ukraine has lost. But also keep in mind the way the war is structured is that we are lending Ukraine money, and Ukraine is then turning around and using most, but not all of that money to then buy American weapons. So the money's coming back to us, and they still have to repay the loans the way the terms are structured. So it's actually a pretty good business deal for us, and maybe someone should explain it to the president that way. Whether you want to keep funding it or not, that's the way the situation is structured over there. But yeah, the Russians have lost 850,000 soldiers in Ukraine, way more than the Ukrainians have lost. Now, we got to move on. We will pass on further calls on that because there's a lot more I got to talk about. But first, I got to tell you about Hillsdale College and their excellent 40 classes. Look, I'm going to go ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. Up at the top, you can click on the catalog button. And if you click on the catalog button, you can explore the remarkable number of courses that they have in subjects from history, philosophy, religion, literature, politics, economics, fine arts, mathematics, natural science, 40 different classes to choose from that you can take from some of the leading professionals at Hillsdale College. You can take, for example, 11 lessons on ancient Christianity. You can take 8 lessons on American citizenship and its decline from Victor Davis Hanson. You can take a 9-lesson class on Athens and Sparta, or you can take one on Winston Churchill and statesmanship. It's only 6 lessons. They're video lectures. You take them at your own pace, do it at your own timeline, and you do not pay a penny. You go to ericforhillsdale.com today, ericforhillsdale.com. They have a range. You can take Theology 101. You can take one on C.S. Lewis on Christianity. You can take one on the Exodus story, one on Charles Dickens, one on classic children's literature. There are so many great classes to take. Do it at your own pace. ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K. Sign up. You do not pay a penny. It's from Hillsdale College, and they're all so great. ericforhillsdale.com.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear. It's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1251 Cool-Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center, still in recovery zone, 75 southbound, or in recovery mode, 75 south between Morrow and the Stockbridge area. Earlier crash off to the shoulder at Highway 138, exit 228, but the brake lights continue from Highway 54. Those will get better. And we have a left lane crash, 285 westbound, the inner loop heading out of DeKalb into Fulton County, just past Jonesboro Road, exit 55. That's in the left lane. Downtown a little sluggish, 75-85 northbound, leaving I-20 up past Freedom Parkway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
News.
Atlanta police on the lookout.
At the top and bottom of every hour.
2 people are dead and 19 others are injured after a small plane crashed.
And when it breaks.
Johnson with 218 votes right now, and it appears that would be enough to get him reelected House Speaker.
Check back 3, 4, 5 times a day.
95.5 WSB. Atlanta's breaking news station.
My old mentor, Adrian Rogers, taught me this. He said, you are free to choose. You are not free not to choose. And you're not free to choose the consequences of your choices. Your choices choose those for you. I want you to hear that again. You are free to choose. You are not free not to choose. And you're not free to choose the consequences of your choices. Our lives and our eternities depend on our choices. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place. You know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in will work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on portfolio x-ray, or click on full retirement plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
It's the unsung hero of your home, your garage door. You never think about it. You just hit the button and it opens until it doesn't. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. So you're ready for a new garage door. At All Four Seasons, we offer fast service, affordable prices, and a huge selection of styles, colors, and custom features. Improve your curb appeal, lower your energy bill, secure your home, and increase your property value. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
You may not agree with him, but he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, I have been warning you about the president's tweets and statements and how they could be used against him in a court of law, and that is beginning to happen, and I want to talk to you about that when we come back. But right now, what the left does not appreciate, this is Harry Hinton on CNN.
Donald Trump and the Republican Party has changed the electorate. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at party identification, Democrats versus Republicans. You go back to 2017, 5 points more of the electorate was Democrats than Republicans. You go to 2021 when Joe Biden was starting out, look at that. 6 points more of the electorate was Democrats than Republicans. But look at what's happened in February of 2025. Look at this. Republicans, there are more Republicans in the electorate than there are Democrats. Republican +2. So Donald Trump and the Republicans have remade the electorate. They've turned some people over from being Democrats or independents to become Republicans. New folks have entered the electorate who are more Republican leaning. And so when you combine that with the fact that Republicans are really, really behind Donald Trump, all of a sudden you get a winning recipe whereby you break the normal rules of politics and give Donald Trump that positive net approval rating when he had pretty much a consistently negative one in term number 1.
Exactly. I can't tell you the number of people who have told me in the last 24 hours, well, most people oppose Donald Trump. No, I don't know where you're getting your data from, but in all the polling averages out there, 538, Nate Silver, Real Clear Politics, Donald Trump has a net positive approval rating right now, and more Americans identify themselves as Republicans than at any time since Ronald Reagan got elected president, which is wild to think about. This is a sign that it's not just the Democrats, but the press themselves who are completely out to lunch on what's happening in the country right now. This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you're buying a building, if you are growing your business and you see opportunity in the current climate and you need access to capital, reach out to First Liberty Building and Loan. See if they can help you. FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. They help businesses in all 50 states. Tell them I sent you. See if you're a fit for them. See if they're a fit for you. You need $250,000 or more for your business to grow. FirstLibertyGA.com. When we come back, words actually do mean things, which means the president must be very careful about his words.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or consumercellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Findlay Roofing. This just in this hour.
The nomination is confirmed.
The U.S. Senate has just now confirmed former Senator and Georgia businesswoman Kelly Loeffler to lead the Small Business Administration within the Trump administration. The Senate approved Loeffler on a 52-46 vote. She will oversee an entity responsible for helping businesses satisfy debts, payroll, and other expenses during times of disaster. So once again, Kelly Loeffler just now being confirmed. All right, your weather for today. Cold and rainy this afternoon. Then as the rain moves out, even colder air moves in. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. Duracell is investing more than $50 million to bring a new facility to our town here in Midtown Atlanta.
The new global headquarters for Duracell's research and design teams will be built on Nerham Street near Georgia Tech. It will offer 110 new jobs in the innovative technology sector when it opens in summer of 2026. Metro Atlanta Chamber President and CEO Katie Kirkpatrick says it strengthens the region's powerful reputation as a hub for innovation and notes the tech campus next door could provide a pipeline of world-class talent for the battery maker. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Georgia's most populous county wants the state to put into place new laws concerning cyber attacks.
It's now been a year since Fulton County's first of two back-to-back ransomware attacks by the cyber gang Lockbit.
They shut down all of our systems and held us hostage.
County Commission Chair Rob Pitts says one of the most important steps was refusing to use taxpayer money or any money to pay the ransom. Now he wants to make it impossible for other lawmakers to have to struggle with that decision.
I'm working with our state legislature to enact such a law here in Georgia that will prohibit any local entity from paying a ransom in the future.
At least 3 states have similar legislation. Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
All right, this is new at 1 o'clock. United Healthcare facing a $3.4 million fine. Insurance regulators in North Carolina found that the health insurer let patients wrongly face excessive bills for out-of-network health care. The North Carolina Department of Insurance says United Healthcare should have protected patients from balance billing. That is when providers ask patients to pay the difference when insurance companies pay less than the providers charging for medical services. The findings were the result of a 4-year investigation. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow is down 146 at 44,409. NASDAQ is up slightly, and so is the S&P. It's 102.
Your roof has been working overtime lately. Heavy rain and severe storms have impacted our area again. So how did your roof hold up? Hey, it's Dave Baker, host of the Home Fix-It Show here. Water is your home's #1 enemy. Heavy rain and severe storms like we've had recently can expose roof leaks and lead to water damage. I recommend you schedule a free roof analysis with my roofer, Findlay Roofing, the roof guys. If your roof is leaking or damaged, it's possible that you don't even see any signs yet, but you could see water inside. Look around. Check your attic, ceiling, drywall, and chimney area. Do you see dripping water, wet spots, or water streaks? If yes, think of Findlay first. Findlay Roofing is locally owned and operated. They always follow the golden rule to treat you right, and I trust them in my home. You can trust them too. Get peace of mind with no obligation and no charge. Schedule your free roof analysis at FindlayRoofing.com. Roof.
February is Heart Health Month, and there's no better time to take care of your heart. This is Scott Slade. It's the perfect month to call Virtual Imaging and get your free heart scan to help you stay ahead of heart disease before you even know there's a problem. You've been hearing us talk about how Virtual Imaging's free heart scan can save lives. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States, and any problem with your heart that you can detect early means you have a better chance of living a longer life. Call Virtual Imaging today and get your free heart scan. What are you waiting for? Call 770-678-SCAN. It's quick, painless, and you'll get a clear picture of your heart's health so you know where you stand. And it's a great way to mark Heart Health Month. Don't wait until it's too late. Call Virtual Imaging now and schedule your free heart scan with a few minimum requirements. It's quick, easy, and could save your life. I've done it. Call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Because your heart deserves it. If not for yourself, do it for your family.
If your home shows any sign of foundation issues like cracking exteriors, bowed walls, or sticking windows, your house may have a foundation problem. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions is here to help you. Schedule your free inspection at aquaguard.net now. Foundation issues? Remember, AquaGuard.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Alex Williams with a look at the roads.
Still seeing some brake lights between Morrow and Stockbridge. 75 southbound, leaving Highway 54 in the Mount Zion area, trying to get down to Highway 138 where a crash is off to the right. Also, south side perimeter, crash cleared off to the right. 285 westbound, the inner loop past Jonesboro Road, exit 55. Delays improving there. Heads up in Cobb, we had a crash working on Highway 5 at Sandy Plains Road. That is jamming up the ride in both directions. That's east of I-75. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. The rain showers moving out this afternoon, high 45. Cold air moving in tonight, lows dropping down to the mid-20s. Tomorrow, sunny, breezy, and chilly, high 37. Wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour, so wind chills stay in the 20s throughout the afternoon. Actual temperatures on Friday morning in the teens to low 20s.
And, of course, that winter weather advisory is still in effect, and it was extended to Paulding, Bartow, and Cherokee counties. It's in effect until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, which means folks in those areas in Paulding, Bartow, and Cherokee could see a snow flurry or two. The North Georgia mountains, though, getting the most snow there. Again, just cold and wet here for us. In Metro Atlanta, we do have some showers and 45 degrees. In Johns Creek, it is 44. Sandy Springs, you have 44 degrees right now with cloudy skies and some drizzle. We'll have more news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Erickson here, live across America. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, as always, text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777 so that you can be on the show if you want to. You can get the phone number, you can get the live stream link, the podcast link, the social media links. Also, if you're in Georgia, text the word engage to 33777, and I'll send you a link to call your legislator to support getting rid of those speed cameras in front of schools that the cities around the state are abusing. More and more horror stories coming out about teachers leaving work after hours, getting speeding tickets for school zone speeds when they're not even in effect. And they don't have time to deal with this. Need to get rid of the cameras. Text engage to 33777. Call your state's House member in Georgia. Now, I want to talk to you about words. Words mean things. Words have power. You know, on the left, they're postmodern. The communists believe, and yeah, by the way, this is something from Marxism. It is something that Lenin and Stalin believed, and that is that words create reality. So let me just give you the example of this. If all of us decided tomorrow, if we all decided that the sky was red and the grass was blue, what color is the sky? The sky is red because we all agreed the word we're going to use is red, even though it's blue. It doesn't matter. We've changed reality now. We've now made the sky red. Words have power. And Donald Trump's words have a lot of power because Donald Trump is president of the United States. So let's go back to that tweet over the weekend. I think Donald Trump is trolling people. He's getting a rise out of the left. He's making them focus on his tweets and distracting them from other things, throwing them off their game. But he said that a man who saves his country is not breaking the law or some such. That's basically what he meant, that you're not breaking the law when you save your country. Those are words that to a lot of people on the left sound like dictatorial, that I can do whatever I want to do. Louis XIV said, "L'État, c'est moi." I'm the state. I can do whatever I want. The absolute monarch, Louis XIV said, "I am the state. I whatever I do is the state." Donald Trump, whatever I do, I'm saving the country, so I'm not breaking the law. That's a problem. It's a problem in large part because whether you or I think Donald Trump is trolling the left, he's not really serious. His words can be used against him in a court of law. And as Democrats and progressive activists run to court and file injunctions to stop Trump orders, they're going to be relying on statements Donald Trump has said. Whether, again, you or I think he means it, what have you, you got to understand that the left can use this, particularly to a sympathetic progressive judge. Thus enters Amy Reyes. Anna Cecilia Reyes is a Uruguayan-born judge. She is the first Latina judge of the D.C. District Court, United States District Court for the District of Columbia. She is the first Hispanic Latina judge. She's from Uruguay. She is also the first lesbian judge in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. So she is Latina, she is lesbian, she is progressive, and she is a Joe Biden appointee. Quick, random question. Who do you think got the case about transgender people in the military? Any ideas? Any guesses who got that case? Yes, Anna Reyes got the case about transgender people in the military, the Trump ban. Allow me to read for you now a transcript between Judge Reyes and an unnamed Department of Justice attorney. Judge Reyes. President Trump's executive order calls an entire category of people dishonest, dishonorable, undisciplined, immodest, who lack integrity, people who have taken an oath to defend this country, people who have been under fire, people who have received medals for taking fire for this country. I want to know from the government whether that language expresses animus. Does that express animus? Department of Justice attorney. Your Honor, not in any common sense way, the judge interrupts. This is a policy from the President of the United States affecting thousands of people to call an entire group of people lying, dishonest people who are undisciplined, immodest, and have no integrity. How is that anything other than showing animus? DOJ attorney, I don't have an answer for you. Judge Reyes, you do have an answer for me. You just don't want to give it to me. People can make solid arguments as to why some or even most transgender people shouldn't be in the military. We're dealing with unadulterated animus. We're dealing with the President of the United States dealing with a group of people serving their country, calling them liars. Judge Anna Reyes then said she was changing her orders for her courtroom. She announced she would bar anyone who graduated from the University of Virginia Law School from appearing before her in court because they're all liars and lack integrity and are undisciplined and can't possibly meet the high rigors of a benign lawyer for the government. She then asked the Department of Justice lawyer where he went to school, and he said the University of Virginia. And she said, sit down. After he sat down, she then called him back up and asked if the order she had imposed on the court prohibiting University of Virginia graduates from appearing in her courtroom because they're liars and lack integrity and are undisciplined and can't possibly meet the high rigors of benign lawyer for the government, if that was a sign of animus from her against them. Words matter. Allegedly, and I don't really believe it, but allegedly, these cases are randomly assigned to judges. I actually think that both sides game the system to try to get preferential judges for their cases. The progressives who tried to block the trans military order could not have found a better judge to get in front of. The first lesbian judge in the D.C. District Court, who also is the first Latina, who is a well-known progressive. Yeah. But also, I want to read for you, again, part of this transcript. People can make solid arguments as to why some or even most transgender people shouldn't be in the military. You know what the solid argument is for why a trans person shouldn't be in the military? Because every single person who is trans in the military, yeah, okay, that too. Yes, that too. We'll get to that. But so every person in the military has to be competent to fight on the front lines. You know, if you're trans, you can't be assigned active duty combat. Do you know why? Because of the amount of hormones that you have to take. And so you can't be on the front lines for prolonged combat and miss the hormones you've got to inject. You can't do it. In fact, trans members of the military routinely have argued, and it is documented, that they can't be placed in the front lines because of this very situation. So if every member of the military needs to be ready to go fight for their country, and trans members of the military say, well, we can't go do that because if it takes too long, we might miss a dose of our hormones, well, there should be disqualified for the military. Also, there is the mental issue as well. I mean, you're a dude who thinks you're a woman or a woman who thinks you're a dude, you're clearly mentally ill. And I don't know that we should be putting mentally ill people near firearms. I mean, look at the school shootings in this country and the number of people who are mentally ill who do it. And you can say, I'm anti-trans, and oh my God, I can't believe he just said that. But every single one of you listening knows transgenderism is a mental health issue. Those are legitimate issues for not having a transgender person in the military. Mental health, and also the need for medications that someone who's trained to be on the front lines might possibly not be able to have access to, slowing them down. But as the judge pointed out, in Donald Trump's justification for banning trans members of the military, he considered them dishonest, dishonorable, undisciplined, immodest, lacking integrity, and she finds that to be motivated by animus. Now, she's going to lose on appeal, just so you understand this. I think the judge is going to lose on appeal because the court, with the appellate court, will rely on Department of Justice lawyers to make the case for trans members of the military on the front lines. And as I have just mentioned, there are legitimate, real concerns about having transgender members of the military, given issues of medication, therapy, mental health, all that sort of stuff. But she can slow the train down, and you can say she would have anyway. And you're right, she would have anyway. But President Trump's own words made it really easy for her to slow the trains down. That's the problem. So let's go beyond this one to his other cases. This one's the easy one. Let's go to some of the other ones. What about not spending money? There's an Impoundment Act. The president cannot stop money from being spent if Congress has appropriated the money to be spent. Richard Nixon decided not to spend money that had been appropriated by Congress. Said he needed to save the money, wasn't going to spend it. Congress passed a law that said when Congress appropriates money to be spent, the president must oversee it being spent but cannot stop it from being spent. Nixon vetoed the law. Congress overrode the veto. The president is telling the courts that he intends to ignore a court order forcing him to spend money assigned to the State Department for foreign aid. The other day, Donald Trump tweeted, "No man who saves his country is violating the law." A reasonable judge who is a Democratic partisan but still has a reasonable head on his shoulder can easily interpret Donald Trump's tweet as an admission that he knows he's breaking the law and is just pretending he's not. It can be used against him. These are problems that the Trump administration has to contend with. The words of members of the administration are going to matter in these court cases, and they can be slowed down dramatically. Think about this case with the trans soldiers in the military. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I totally acknowledge that Anna Rios, the judge, was going to stop this anyway. But here's the problem. Now, it's not just a perfunctory pause in the program subject to an appeal to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. It's the policy, the intent of the policy was an animosity towards Americans. That slows the case down because here's the thing. The President of the United States can take lawful actions, but if the intent of his lawful actions is animosity towards a class of Americans, federal courts can stop it based on the intent of the policy. That's right. Yes, it is the intent of the policy that actually does matter. If racism or animosity towards a class of people in the United States is to blame for the policy superficially looks to be neutral, but actually is motivated by a hostility towards a class of American citizen, judges have an argument to stop it. He's made it easy for them. He's got to be careful when he does this. The words of the president matter, and they matter greatly when it comes time to supporting or advancing policies that progressive judges want to stop. He's making it too easy for them.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
120 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Another trouble spot on the south side heading into Stockbridge. Stalled Big Rig Center Lane, 75 south before Highway 138, exit 228, keeping the ride slow out of Morrow. Just cleared up a crash heading to the airport, 85 southbound, right around Sylvan Road, exit 75. Those delays from Cleveland Avenue will start to improve. Traffic brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Chris Chandler. When you join us Thursday starting at 5 a.m. for Atlanta's Morning News, we'll track the temperatures as the metro moves into hard freeze territory. Plus, our 5-day forecast looks into the weekend, too, previewing the final decision on closure of 2 metro schools. How Clark Howard says you can get the most out of your side hustle. And remember, Thursday's the morning for Scott Slade's Georgia as well. Join us starting at 5 a.m. on 95.5 WSB.
Hey, Belinda here with Dr. Ashraf from Atlanta Vision Institute to talk about a new procedure, permanent contact lenses. This is a game changer, isn't it, Dr. Ashraf?
It is for some people. This is an implantable Collamer lens. It's been around for a while, but this new technology is amazing. This is really good for people who in the past weren't candidates for LASIK. And remember, LASIK's been around for over 20 years. Technology is always advancing. So this lens is a quick procedure. We do it in the office. Vision recovers very quickly. You're back to work the next day. LASIK, it causes an inducement of dry eyes. This does not.
Ooh.
And unlike your contacts, there's no maintenance on this. There is nothing. You get up and go. It is permanent now. In the future, if you do need to remove it, we can remove it.
Oh, that's tremendous. Folks, is this something you're interested in to better your vision? Go to lensatlanta.com. That's LENS Atlanta.com.
You've probably heard that constipation and IBS can all be related to a lack of fiber in your diet. Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you or someone you know suffers from constipation or IBS, let the Bread Beckers show you the way to more fiber and regularity and to better health without swallowing a pill or a bad-tasting drink. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber from real whole grains. A healthy, affordable, and delicious solution for your family that can change your life. This is not like the enriched bread you buy at the grocery store. It's real bread. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Bread Beckers, onlyrealbread.com.
It's Eric Erickson here. Every single day now, I deal with a malicious request to click a link. My daughter the other day got a text message some of you have probably gotten. Click on it and pay your toll, and it's just a scam. All these things keep happening. They're preying upon the young, senior citizens, and you and me. But there's good news. Vision Computer is here to help you. If you have their managed service, you're never alone, and in just 15 seconds, expert tech support is at your fingertips, ready to protect you from online threats, scams, and computer problems. And you don't have to take my word for it. We're a Vision Computer household, but they've got thousands of 5-star reviews beyond my household reviews, but I'd give them 5 stars too. They've got thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews because they're simply the best. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today or visit them online at visioncomputers.com, because when it comes to your security, you can't afford to wait. Vision will take care of you. Tell them I sent you. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or consumercellular.com today. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
All the information without the spin. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. Be with you on the phones here in just a minute. 877-973-7425. Well, technically like 10 minutes. You're going to have to hold on. We got another commercial break coming up. But first, there's some breaking news I've got to tell you about. The United States today, through the State Department, by order of Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, is officially declaring the Mexican drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations. Trinidad Aragua, MS-13, Sinaloa Cartel, Jalisco New Generation Cartel, United Cartel, the Gulf Cartel, the Northeast Cartel, and the Michoacan family. They're all going to be listed as official foreign terrorist organizations. Now, why does that matter? Because American companies that do business with their entities are possibly going to be fined. So American companies are going to have to crack down. Why? So a lot of Mexican enterprises, including legal enterprises, are interwoven into the drug cartel. So take avocado farmers in Mexico. A lot of the avocado farms are actually owned by the drug cartels. If an American grocery store is buying its avocados from a farm owned by the Mexican drug cartels, whether or not they know it, they can be liable for fines from the United States government. The government puts affirmative duties on American businesses to make sure they're not dealing with terrorists. And a lot of Mexican enterprises and Central American enterprises are tied to these Central and South American drug cartels. They're now foreign terrorist organizations, and any American bank or other business entity that does business with any lawful business that is actually a front for these organizations will be punished. That's not a bad thing. Don't say, oh, this is too broad, this is terrible. No, it's actually a good thing. It's going to actually financially cripple the cartels. It's going to actually shake up the economy of Central America and force these companies out. And it's going to force American companies to stop subsidizing the drug cartels. and to affirmatively take steps to find out who they're doing business with. That's not a bad thing, people. That's actually a very good thing. Now, one of the bad things that's out there right now is all the economic situation we've got, where it looks like the Federal Reserve has no interest in lowering rates further. Mortgage rates seem to be going back up too, 22-year high interest rates almost. Mortgage rates super high. Swiss America has been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. Gold prices in this country are so bizarrely high right now. You've got banks in Europe flying gold bars to the United States where they're more valuable. Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash, you need to listen for their report. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They can educate you on protecting your assets. The report takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can save on your retirement and finances. You get a free copy by calling or texting 800-289-2646. The all-out war on cash includes digital forms of currency. It's growing and it is spreading. So please get and read the Secret War on Cash report completely free. Just mention Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. The report is completely free. 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. We have breaking news this half hour. In Gwinnett County, police are on the scene of a murder. This is in the 4900 block of Sugarloaf Parkway. We understand that one man has been killed, and another man is in custody. We're working to find out more. Check back for updates on this breaking story out of Gwinnett. Cold and rainy this afternoon. Then as the rain moves out, even colder air moves in. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. Several streets here in Midtown Atlanta is going to be closed tonight for a film shoot by Tyler Perry. The closures are in the area around Tech Square. It includes sections of Ponce de Leon Avenue, West Peachtree, Spring Street, and William Street. The closures will be in effect from 9 tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow. Police and fire officials will be on hand to help you get around it. The filming is for the second season of the Netflix series Beauty in Black. Duracell is going to invest more than $50 million in a new facility in Midtown Atlanta at Science Square, adjacent to the Georgia Tech campus. It's going to mean about 100 more jobs for the area, with a planned opening date of the summer of next year. Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff telling WSB today that he's worried about the current bird flu outbreak, in particular the culling of flocks and egg prices.
I've been concerned, and I'm increasingly concerned. The culling that's been required for commercial flocks across the country has been very significant. Egg prices continue to rise.
And currently, the Trump administration is attempting to rehire officials with the U.S. Department of Agriculture who worked on the government's response to bird flu before being fired over the weekend. The layoffs are part of cost-cutting measures. The U.S. Senate has confirmed former Senator and Georgia Congresswoman Kelly Loeffler to lead the Small Business Administration. The Senate approved Loeffler on a 52-46 vote. It's 1:32.
Termites could be eating your home right now, and you never know. Christina Edwards here for Breda Pest Management. When was the last time you actually saw your service inspect for termite damage? Let me guess, they just walked around the outside and checked the bait stations. Better get Breda. They use advanced infrared cameras and microwave technology for early detection. Switch to Breda, and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Governor Kemp is protecting consumers from high costs and standing with small businesses.
The failure to act on meaningful tort reform will continue to put Georgians and their livelihoods in serious jeopardy.
Georgians are paying a hidden tax because of a broken system, over $5,000 a year. Car insurance, health care, everything costs more. Call Senator Strickland at 404-656-0508. Tell him to stand with Governor Kemp and pass tort reform. Paid for by protecting American consumers together.
Multiple contractors and estimates for your home projects? What a hassle. Instead, trust the Plus. Painting Plus.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. We're reliable, fully licensed and insured, no muss, no fuss, trust the Plus and leave everything on your list to us.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust Trust the plus. PaintingPlus.com.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Alex Williams has a look at the roads.
Earlier trouble spot with a stalled big rig 75 south before Highway 138, exit 228 in Stockbridge moved off to the right. All lanes open there. Heads up in Canton, still dealing with this crash. Looks like an investigation now, shutting down the Canton Road connector, Highway 5 southbound at Sandy Plains Road. Traffic being diverted there, so you might want to find your alternates. And 85 south tapping the brakes out of Norcross, leaving Jimmy Carter down toward I-285 Spaghetti Junction. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy with rain showers moving out of the metro region. Temperatures dropping from the mid-40s this afternoon into the 20s through tomorrow morning.
More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Waiting very patiently to talk to me is Ryan. Welcome to the show, Ryan. How are you? Ryan, you there? Well, I don't know where Ryan.
Well,
oh, there you are. Here you are. I didn't hear you at first. Welcome. Yeah.
And I love your show.
Thank you.
So my question is something that I think is very prescient right now. I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen with the current state of student loans and the people that have them out. Now, I am presently on a public service loan forgiveness program. I work for the state. And so mine is not like one of those Joe Biden forgives your loans.
Right.
I've been working for a decade, and now I'm in forbearance, and the loan servicing companies are completely unreachable, unworkable, and they're terrible. They're in a terrible state. So what do you think is going to happen with the defunding of the Department of Education? Not that I think it's a bad thing, but what's going to happen with how all of these outstanding student loans are furnished, and specifically the people that have done, like I have, a decade of working for the state for below market value? How are we going to deal with ending up this loan forgiveness program?
So Ryan, it's kind of funny you called about this because literally in commercial break, Kobe and I are sitting in here in the studio talking about it. They're talking about it on TV right now, what Trump wants to do with the Department of Education. So the good news for you is that your program is a statutorily created program. And thus far, every single judge who has allowed Donald Trump to begin scaling back federal employees has made clear in their orders that he can't touch statutorily created programs. So there will always be someone there to administer these programs. How many people will be in the program, I can't tell you. But the program can't be abolished by Trump, nor can the funding for supervision of the program. My suspicion, based on an idea floated by Elon Musk, is that what they may try to do is outsource the programmatic side of things to an outside nonprofit that can administer these things more efficiently than the federal government. And before those of you out there like, really? There's a great example here. Air traffic control, which is much in the news lately. Canada uses a private company that's a nonprofit to administer air traffic control in Canada. Does so more efficiently, upgrades more quickly, and is more mobilized than our FAA, which is still using a computer program from the 1960s, which the Biden administration attempted to upgrade and in 4 years were unable to upgrade the system. So, yeah, there are definitely going to be some changes, but also probably if you outsource to a private company to administer it, it would be a more efficient program. Now, I will tell you that a federal agency that tracks the progress of American students is being hit with $900 million in cuts from DOGE. This is the Institute of Education Sciences. It will continue to exist because it is federally funded. It oversees the NAEP assessment, the nation's report card, they call it. It oversees the college scorecard of university costs. But because the program is statutorily created, they can't get rid of it, but they're scaling it back by about $900 million. And a federal court this morning has told DOGE that they are allowed inside the Department of Education to start making cuts. A judge has thrown out a state argument, which is kind of wild, by the way. A bunch of Democrat attorneys general ran into court to try to stop DOGE, and a progressive Obama-appointed judge said they had no authority to stop one of Donald Trump's appointees. They lost a case before an Obama-appointed judge. These Democrats did. But something clearly needs to happen to the Department of Education. In fact, let me play you this audio. This is Ted Lieu, Democratic congressman from California, was on CNN, and they actually did ask him about some of the absurd programs that USAID has funded.
But we have confirmed some of the cuts the DOGE team has been making, and they do include things, besides what we were just discussing, like gender-affirming health care in Guatemala, teaching people in Kazakhstan to fight back against internet trolls, voluntary male circumcisions in Mozambique, creating work opportunities for young LGBTQI plus people in Serbia. Are these things that you think taxpayer money from the U.S. taxpayer money should be spent on? And how do you think taxpayers knew their money was going to these causes?
So happy to have a discussion on the funding of USAID and what some of these programs are going to. But what the administration cannot do is randomly freeze the funding to all these programs that Congress has already appropriated. That's why we have an entire appropriations process. And it's also simply wrong that they're making these cuts to somehow help Americans. They're making these cuts to give billions of dollars of tax breaks to billionaires. And how do we know that? Because Republicans just passed a budget out of committee last week that does exactly that. It gives trillions of dollars, actually, in tax breaks to the super wealthy.
Notice he doesn't actually want to answer the question, just completely dodges the question of the money. Let's just review, just so you know, this is what CNN uncovered. U.S.-funded programs were going to gender-affirming health care in Guatemala, the 10 trans people in Guatemala. Teaching people, this may be the funniest one, teaching people in Kazakhstan how to fight against internet trolls. Unless one of the lessons was invade Nigeria and conquer it, they're not going to have a lot of success. How do you do this? We're going to teach people in Kazakhstan to fight internet trolls from Nigeria. Oh my God, that's actually the United States government is doing this. How do you even explain to a Kazakhstani what a troll is? They don't live under bridges anymore. They have computers in Nigeria. My gosh. Voluntary male circumcision in Mozambique. Can you imagine the sales pitch on that one? Guys, we want you to chop off a piece of, well, that. You know, back in the day, people used to arrange marriages by a collection of foreskins. We're going to help you get married. I mean, if you really want to sell male circumcision in Mozambique, send some Jews to sell them on brisket and say, be our people, latkes and brisket. But there's one thing you got to do. That would be sell them on food. How do you make this case? I want to see the ad campaign in Mozambique for voluntary male circumcision. Wow. Creating opportunities for young, not LGBT, not LGBTQ, but LGBTQI plus people in Serbia. What opportunities? Working with Andrew Tate? What opportunities for LGBTQI plus people in Serbia to find the other letters to replace the plus? What exactly? I mean, seriously, what opportunities for young LGBTQI plus people in Serbia are they after? Mr. Erickson, maybe if you investigated the program, you could find out. I don't really want to investigate the program. Why is the government of the United States of America funding campaigns for voluntary male circumcision? In Africa, no less. In Africa. Gender-affirming healthcare in Guatemala. But not for straight people. You're not affirming the gender of the straight person. It's only for the T person in the LGBTQIA plus people. Why, by the way, why do we keep adding letters? I personally think if you want the entire spectrum of rainbow people accepted, call them a BLT and G. Because who doesn't love a BLT? You rebrand instead of constantly adding letters. Y'all do realize, hang on a second, let me get this for you because I think it's LGBTQIA T. They just keep adding letters to the whole thing. It's just kind of wild the amount of letters that they keep adding. LGBTQQIP2SAA. They've changed it now. Yes. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, asexual, ally. Now, the two-spirit is crazy white chick appropriation of American Indian spiritualism. You need to understand. I had to explain that to my assistant the other day. My assistant, somehow or another, had to fill out some form, and she was looking at the whole list of identities, and one of them was two-spirit people. And she emailed me, and she says, can you explain what a two-spirit person is? It's like, well, it's crazy white chicks appropriated American Indian spirituality about people are possessed with two spirits, and they don't want to call themselves bisexual. They call themselves two spirits because maybe one of their spirits is an animal spirit and one of their spirits is a human being spirit, but it's crazy white chicks. That's actually what it is. The only people who have two spirits are the people who also use the name barista. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, asexual, or ally, LGBTQIP2SAA. That's why they put the plus. But notice what they keep doing is they keep adding out the letters. It used to be LGBT plus, then it was LGBTQ plus, now it's LGBTQI plus. They're trying to embrace this. It is not a premium package on cable. It is a bunch of letters for self-identity. It's not Disney Plus. Well, they're featured heavily at Disney Plus with all their indoctrination. But still, you get my point. This is the government is spending money to find LGBTQIPQ2SAA children job opportunities in Serbia. Not even in San Francisco, but Serbia. On the other side of the world, and we're supposed to defend it. We're supposed to want to do this. You're a bad person if you don't want to do a voluntary male circumcision ad campaign in Mozambique. This is wild stuff to me. This is what you're paying for. And by the way, I'm not making it up. We literally funded a lesbian acting troupe in Burma. Yes, we funded a group of lesbian, I guess I should say actresses, but since they're lesbians, they probably do want to go by actor, lesbian acting troupe in Burma. I don't know why. I wish I did know why. Were they hot? I have no idea why we funded lesbian actresses in Burma, but USAID funded lesbian actresses in Burma. Maybe they did the ad campaign for the voluntary male circumcision in Mozambique. I have no idea. Nonetheless, why is our tax dollars being spent? And again, Ted Lieu did not want to defend any of it. He wanted to have a holistic conversation on the ability of the president to block funding. He didn't want to actually talk about defending your tax dollars being spent to convince men in Mozambique to have circumcisions because you can't defend it, so he has to deflect it. You probably have to deflect your computer problems because you bought the computer and you're thinking, man, maybe I screwed up getting the one-size-fits-all big box store computer. Well, if you go to Vision Computers, you won't have that problem. They will build you a computer. In fact, you can take your existing computer and see if they can just upgrade parts for you. Get in the new GPU, get in a faster solid-state hard drive. They might be able to do that for you. Or build you a brand new computer, and then you get their free customer service with it. Where with Vision Computers, you get a computer from them for free. You get their 5-star customer service. And I'm not kidding when I say 5-star customer service. They have like 4,000 to 5,000 5-star reviews on Google for their customer service. That's how good they are. So what is their customer service? Well, you get a special hotline phone number. If you're ever lost, you can't figure out how to do something on your computer, it doesn't seem to be working right, your email is flaky, your printer isn't working, you call Vision Computers, and in 15 seconds or less, you get the answer. That's faster than you can find the answer on Google. You can get it from Vision. Now, let's say you got an army full of staff with a bunch of computers in your office. You didn't get them from Vision, but you're thinking, I can't afford an IT guy, but man, that customer service sounds great. Well, for $179 a year per computer, you can get Vision's computer, and every single person in your office gets a special number, and they call the number whenever there's a problem with their computer, and they have their own in-house IT thanks to Vision Computer without having to pay someone a big salary. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. In fact, if you tell Vision I'm sending you, you'll save even more money. 404-COMPUTE or VisionComputers.com.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
151 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Heads up for a few brake lights in Cobb County. 75 north, a little sluggish, leaving 575 up toward Chastain Road. Service streets have been rough in Cobb. Got a crash blocking all lanes of the Canton Road connector. Highway 5 southbound at Sandy Plains. Use Canton Road as an alternate. And car fire cleanup blocks Highway 41, Cobb Parkway northbound at McCullum Parkway. Traffic brought to you by Lear Capital. Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at betternestegg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Alex Williams, 95.5 WUSB.
When traffic hits.
Raining pretty heavy. Crash still on the right lane, 85 northbound Hamilton Mill.
The Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
Pausing for a long, slow ride to I-20.
Your source for Atlanta's traffic.
Not often we can say this, but 285 is looking great.
Brought to you by the Cool Ray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
When your termite bond renewal comes in the mail, do you cringe wondering, how much more are they going to charge me now? I want you to switch your termite protection to Breda Pest Management, and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years. Hey friends, it's Mark Aram. When was the last time you actually saw your current service inspect your home for termite damage? Let me guess, they just walk around outside and check the bait stations. Well, it's the termites inside that could be eating your home. Feel safe with Breda's early detection process using advanced technology. They'll inspect inside and out, giving you total peace of mind that your home is termite-free. Termites, the most destructive bug of all, but Breda is so confident they guarantee your protection, and only Breda will lock in your termite rate for 10 years. Breda Pest Management, they handle bugs and critters like termites. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Do you depend on space heaters and a fireplace to stay warm inside your home? This is Daniel Jape from Jape Services, your local and licensed heating and air experts. From routine maintenance to installing a new furnace or handling emergency repairs, when you call Jape Services, I guarantee you'll be treated like family. Get warm this winter with Jape Services. Visit japeservices.com, JAPE services.com.
We're the ones to trust. You can count on us. Jape Services.
At Ameris Bank, we're invested in the success of your business. Our local bankers are ready to help you improve your cash flow, optimize your operating accounts, and access financing when you need it. From treasury services and digital banking to loans and lines of credit, we offer tailored solutions to help your business thrive. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. Visit amerisbank.com/withyourbusiness or walk into one of our branches today to get started. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All loans subject to credit approval.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
It's Eric Erickson here. Every single day now, I deal with a malicious request to click a link. My daughter the other day got a text message some of you have probably gotten. Click on it and pay your toll, and it's just a scam. All these things keep happening. They're preying upon the young, senior citizens, and you and me. But there's good news. Vision Computer is here to help you. If you have their managed service, you're never alone, and in just 15 seconds, expert tech support is at your fingertips, ready to protect you from online threats, scams, and computer problems. And you don't have to take my word for it. We're a Vision Computer household, but they've got thousands of 5-star reviews beyond my household reviews, but I'd give them 5 stars too. They've got thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews because they're simply the best. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today or visit them online at visioncomputers.com, because when it comes to your security, you can't afford to wait. Vision will take care of you. Tell them I sent you. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's
Eric's
news and
army
talk.
of activists, and let your voice be heard. Text ARMY to 33777.
Welcome back. We're just sitting in here chatting, not paying attention to the show. It's fine. It's fine. My friends, got to play you some audio. This is the president of, or the CEO of Delta Airlines, Ed Bastian. And I want you to, he was on with Gayle King, who tries to blame the Trump administration for the airline situation in the United States.
You know, the Trump administration recently fired many employees of the FAA administration. Do those cuts worry you, and do you think that impacts the safety? I know you just said it's the safest way to travel, but after looking at all these mishaps, a lot of people are very nervous. Do these cuts affect you?
The cuts do not affect us, Gail. I've been in close communication with the Secretary of Transportation. I understand that the cuts at this time are something that are raising questions, but the reality is there's over 50,000 people that work at the FAA, and the cuts, I understand, were 300 people, and they were in non-critical safety functions. The Trump administration has committed to investing deeply in terms of improving the overall technologies that are used in the air traffic control systems and modernizing the skies. They've committed to hiring additional controllers and investigators and safety investigators. So no, I'm not concerned with that at all.
What? How dare you say that, Ed? I mean, but he's right. So, you know the 300 people from the FAA that are no longer there? They administered DEI programs, and they were supervisors of non-critical functions. They were not people involved in safety. They were not people involved in inspections. They were not people involved in the supervision of inspectors. They were not air traffic controllers, nor were they supervisors or trainers of air traffic controllers. They were DEI and administrative personnel not involved with or overseeing the critical functions of the FAA. But the left insists that any person in government plays a critical function, and you cannot fire them. You know, I played that clip the other day of on 60 Minutes of the people within the USAID program who were fired and how upsetting it was. It turns out they were outside contractors. They weren't even government employees. They were outside contractors. But wait, there's more. When we come back, I actually want to talk about this. I got to spend time on the IVF stuff as well. But the media is trying to do these sympathetic portrayals of government employees who've lost their jobs. And by the way, I do feel bad for people losing their jobs. But the idea that they can't lose their jobs when you and I in the private sector can get laid off very easily. And why does the media not come to our rescue and do fawning profiles of the people who are losing their job in the private sector? It's only government employees who get these sort of fawning profiles by the media when people lose their jobs, or reporters. When reporters lose their jobs, they get it as well. But that's it. The only category of people the media cares about when they lose their jobs are government employees and reporters. Everybody else, it's just the private sector. You got to come to terms with it. Why the double standard?
Did you know that eating healthier and more delicious food is not only good for you, but affordable as well? Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, delicious, and affordable solution for your family. Eating real bread will satisfy your hunger and greatly reduce the amount of food you need to eat. Plus, your improved health from eating real bread may even reduce the need for frequent doctor visits. That's what Real Bread did for our family. 2 doctor visits with 9 kids in 25 years. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, weight gain, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier, more affordable life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Bread Beckers, onlyrealbread.com.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. It's big news for the metro Atlanta economy as Duracell announces today it is bringing its global headquarters for research and design to Science Square near Georgia Tech.
It's an incredible endorsement of the region's talent.
Christy Brigman with the Metro Atlanta Chamber says the battery maker is bringing 110 new jobs in the tech sector.
High-skilled, high-wage jobs, and a great opportunity for a lot of residents in the area for job growth.
The new facility is due to open in the summer of 2026. A former Georgia senator is now confirmed to lead the nation's Small Business Administration.
In a 52-46 vote, the Senate confirms Kelly Loeffler as head of the Small Business Administration.
The nomination is confirmed.
Loeffler served in the Senate for a short time before losing in a special election to Senator Raphael Warnock in 2021. Warnock did not vote to confirm Loeffler, saying he would not support any cabinet nominee who will hurt Georgia's small business. Senator John Ossoff also voting no, saying he'd prefer someone less political in the role. Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
45 degrees in Atlanta after today's rain. How cold does it get tomorrow? Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Happening now, a homicide investigation at a McDonald's in Gwinnett County. Police tell us one man is dead, another is in custody. The restaurant located at 4915 Sugarloaf Parkway. We are in contact with Gwinnett Police to learn more. The CEO of Atlanta-based Delta Airlines is speaking out today for the first time since Monday's crash on a Toronto runway that caused the plane to flip upside down. Ed Bastian says he is thankful all 80 people on board survived.
The crew on board the plane, our Endeavor crew, performed heroically, but also as expected. This is what we train for.
2 of the 21 people injured are still in the hospital. Crews investigating the crash have recorded the black boxes. Fulton County hopes to use the lessons learned from a cyber attack last year to shield other governments in Georgia. Commission Chair Rob Pitt says when they were hit, the county refused to hand over taxpayer money.
We worked to retake control of our systems from the cyber criminals. And one of the most important steps taken during this attack was our refusal to pay a ransom to the criminals.
Pitts is urging Georgia state lawmakers to pass a law banning any government body from paying ransoms, hoping it could discourage cyber gangs from targeting Georgia in the future. This just in, 2 people are reported dead after 2 small planes collide in southern Arizona. Police say it happened about 20 miles northeast of Tucson. It is now 2:02, and this news is sponsored by Bread Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
February is Heart Health Month, and there's no better time to take care of your heart. This is Scott Slade. It's the perfect month to call Virtual Imaging and get your free heart scan to help you stay ahead of heart disease before you even know there's a problem. You've been hearing us talk about how Virtual Imaging's free heart scan can save lives. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States, and any problem with your heart that you can detect early means you have a better chance of living a longer life. Call Virtual Imaging today and get your free heart scan. What are you waiting for? Call 770-678-SCAN. It's quick, painless, and you'll get a clearer picture of your heart's health so you know where you stand. And it's a great way to mark Heart Health Month. Don't wait until it's too late. Call Virtual Imaging now and schedule your free heart scan with a few minimum requirements. It's quick, easy, and could save your life. I've done it. Call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Because your heart deserves it. If not for yourself, do it for your family.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Georgia, we don't need to tell you that your cost of living has gotten too high. Lawsuit abuse creates a hidden tax on your car insurance, healthcare, groceries, really on everything you need, and it's driving up prices. It's costing Georgia families over $5,000 every year. But there's a solution to stop lawsuit abuse and lower costs for hardworking Georgians. It's tort reform. Listen to Governor Kemp.
Our businesses and hardworking Georgians need relief.
The increased cost of doing business is simply passed on to the consumer.
Georgia needs tort reform, and they need it now.
Call your legislator and tell them to join Governor Kemp in stopping lawsuit abuse, eliminating this hidden tax, and passing tort reform now. Brought to you by Protecting American Consumers Together.
It's Eric. I don't know about y'all, but life happens in our kitchen. It's where we have our memories, our family time, our laughs. Well, you don't want a lot of downtime, but you may want to renovate your kitchen. You want one of those $1 million kitchen looks and get it at the fraction of the cost with Frugal Kitchens. They know that you've got plans for your kitchen, and they want to help you. And here's why I love them. They can have you cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get you 18 months no-interest financing. FrugalKitchens.com. That's where you want to check them out, FrugalKitchens.com.
It is 2:05, the time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Not too bad on our metro interstates right now, Bill. A little bit of volume downtown, 75-85 southbound as you leave 17th Street for the ride down to I-20. Tapping the brakes northbound passing Freedom Parkway. In Cobb County, car fire cleanup blocking Highway 41 northbound at McCullum Parkway. You can use Old 41 Highway or even Stylesboro Road as some alternates there. Earlier crash cleared on the Canton Road connector southbound at Sandy Plains Road. All lanes are back open. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy with rain showers moving out of the metro region. Temperatures dropping from the mid-40s this afternoon into the 20s through tomorrow morning.
And tomorrow, sunny and breezy and cold with a high only around 37. Right now, 42 in Sandy Springs, 44 in College Park, and 41 in Decula. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists across the fruited plain. It is Eric Erickson here, and I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425 if you want to be on the program. One programming note, I can't be here with you tomorrow. I will be back on Friday. I do work Fridays, but I've been summoned to a super secret meeting of the vast right-wing conspiracy tomorrow. I can't tell you anything about it. Can't put much on social media, but I will be back on Friday. Now, I'm going to try to be diplomatic here. I want to begin with some audio. This is a CNN conversation with Chelsea Milburn, a former federal employee who's laid off from the Department of Education, who lives in Carson City, Nevada. And I want you to listen to some of this conversation.
Are you hoping to ever return to a job in the federal government or not after this?
I wouldn't do it until, some things have changed, because right now it's a lack of stability. And then also, the emotional impact to me, this really feels like a betrayal in some sense. And that they didn't consider how this impacts people, and especially the 30% of the federal workforce that have served on active duty.
Tell us more about how it feels like a betrayal.
It comes down to what I've already said. I served my country for 11 years, 9 of them on active duty. I deployed twice. I spent so much time away from my family. I was gone when my mom passed away. And I missed that, to serve my country. And I was excited to continue serving in this capacity. And they not only tore that out from under my feet, but couldn't even just grant me a layoff and instead place the blame on me, that it was my performance. And I've gotten nothing but positive reviews on that. So I feel very much like the message is that my service is valued. They don't care about how this impacts me or people like me. And to me, it's inhumane. It feels like they're ignoring our personhood and not respecting us as human beings or as American citizens.
Chelsea Milburn was an active duty member of the military, in the Navy, disabled, moved into the Department of Education, where she worked as a chief procurement officer. I feel bad for her. I do. I think you can be sympathetic to her frustrations. But this literally happens every week in America to people in the private sector. And where the hell is CNN allowing them to cry on national television about how they don't feel like their company treated them, respected their personhood? Work in radio, for God's sakes. You know how many people I know in the radio industry have lost their jobs in the past 10 years as the industry has upended? I've got friends of mine in radio who I didn't even realize they lost their jobs. There was no announcement, no party. They were just there one day for 20 years and then gone the next. People in the private sector, this happens to every damn day, and no one is putting them on television to be upset about their private corporation doing layoffs. And yet a federal employee gets laid off, and we got to let them come on television and bash the administration and say, quote, "It feels like they're ignoring our personhood and not respecting us as human beings or as American citizens." Lady, I'm sorry, I am, but you work for me. You work for me. You are my employee, and yet you people in the federal bureaucracy act like you own us. You act like the rest of American citizens are on your plantation. And you're in charge. And what have we gotten for it at the Department of Education? Massive illiteracy, a collapse in education in this country, an unwillingness to allow kids in public schools to go to private schools. I am sorry you lost your job, and I am sorry with the way it happened. But guess what? That's life in the private sector. And I hope you understand that while we are sympathetic, while we are empathetic, while we appreciate your service to the country and your patriotism, I got a friend of mine who worked in the United States military for 20 years and went into the private sector. He was there for 5 years and lost his job, and his health insurance benefits had to go back to the VA. They didn't throw him a party. His company went out of business. He just lost his job. What about him? Where is the CNN news camera for him? I got a buddy of mine who worked for a law firm. He was a highly profitable lawyer at the law firm, but it turns out that the managing partners at the law firm were spending and misappropriating money at the law firm. And though he was a highly profitable partner at this law firm, not only was he stuck with the legal bills when the law firm collapsed and he had to pay out of his retirement fund to cover the cost of his law firm, but then he had to go find a new job. His law firm collapsed. He might have been a partner, but he was a junior partner, and it was the senior partners who were padding each other's retirement accounts. The law firm lost a lot of money, and he had to go find a new job and lost his retirement in the process to bail out mistakes that other partners had made unbeknownst to him. Where's CNN for him? And I know multiple companies in this country who, because of the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., lost their jobs because of regulatory changes. And you know what? CNN didn't highlight those people who lost their jobs because of regulatory changes. You know what CNN did? CNN highlighted how it was going to be good for the environment that these regulatory changes went into effect. It was good for the environment. It would make the air cleaner to have these regulations, put a whole lot of people out of work. You know, when the miners in southern Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio, the coal mines, when they lost their jobs, you know what the Democrats said, what the media said? Well, they can get new jobs. They can learn to code. This lady, she can learn to code. Just like the miners, just like the people who go underground to get the coal to power your power plants to keep your lights on so you can do your interviews on CNN. They learn to code, you learn to code. Where are the sympathy for the people in the private sector? Where are the sympathy for the people in the middle class who lose their jobs? What about all the people in California who, when they jacked up the minimum wage and told us no one would lose their jobs, what about the people who lost their jobs because their businesses couldn't afford to pay them the wage, so they lost their job, and now they've been replaced by a robot? Oh, yeah, they get interviewed because they get replaced by a robot, and it's supposedly the greedy employer. I'm sorry that you lost your job. A disabled veteran, I'm sorry you lost your job, but do you know how many disabled veterans in this country lose their jobs in the private sector every year? A good many. And it really actually does enrage me that the American press corps is so busy highlighting these federal employees who are losing their jobs. It's the Erickson rule of the media. When Democrats enact a policy, you get coverage of the beneficiaries. When Republicans enact a policy, you get coverage of the victims. This lady is a victim of Donald Trump's policy. You know who the beneficiaries are? The American taxpayers who are saving some money. The American taxpayers, you and me. The citizenry of this country benefit. I'm sorry this lady's on the losing end of it, but the rest of us benefited by the loss of her salary, the savings of her salary. It may suck for her, but for the rest of us, there's now whatever her salary is back to the federal government. But it's just such a tiny amount. And you know what? A penny saved is a penny earned, Ben Franklin. It's wild to me how we're supposed to just allow these people to keep their jobs, that no one in the public sector is supposed to lose their job ever. You know what? I'm going to jump to a phone call right here relevant to this, to Jacksonville, Florida, to Devin. Devin, welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. How are you?
Hi, fine. This is Kevin.
Kevin, I'm sorry. Misspelling on the computer screen, but I'm glad you called. I saw what Charlie wrote here is what you want to talk about. I was like, boy, this is perfect timing.
Yes. Devin's my ugly brother, so we'll just leave it at that, okay?
So what's going on?
I wanted to bring up this topic of these government employees getting laid off and complaining about it. And after the first Gulf War, I had 14 and a half years in the military as an enlisted an officer, and Clinton wanted to downsize the officer corps. Happens every time around when we have an end of war, they want to downsize the military. They offered a special one-time 15-year retirement if you had 15 years or more in. Obviously, I had 14 and a half. I did not qualify. What they did have was either if you didn't voluntarily go, you got a severance pay and you were severed. If you voluntarily separated, then you would get a little bit more severance pay. But if you decide you want to stay in the reserves because you've allowed, if you want a VSI, voluntary separation, you could roll into the reserves, but you'd have to pay all your severance money back. So I didn't want to leave the military. I had too much vested into it. Being a patriot and all that, there was a lot more I felt I could do for the military and for my country. So I rolled into the reserves, then another 20-plus years in the reserves, retired at 55, started drawing my military retirement at age 60, but I had to pay all that severance money back. So I lost out on many, many years of retirement, plus having to pay my severance money back. So,
well, okay, so Kevin, what year was your CNN interview?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What year were you on CNN to complain about this?
Was I on CNN? I wasn't on CNN.
Exactly. Yes. That my point. Yeah. No one put Kevin. Yeah. No one put Kevin, folks, on television to lament what happened when Bill Clinton did it. But the moment Donald Trump downsizes the government, the sob stories come rolling out. Kevin, I'm sorry you didn't get your 15 minutes of fame on 60 Minutes to cry about Bill Clinton. I just thank you for calling and sharing this. Thank you. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, it happened to me and a lot of other vets. So I really don't have any empathy or sympathy for the government employees that are doing this, because you know what? I don't think there's a clause in there where if they take that severance pay that they can't come back at another time and apply for another government position should one come available later on in the future.
It's just, listen, thank you for calling. Thank you very much for your service as well, Kevin. Thank you. But yeah, listen, perfect. Kevin, again, if you're still, it's a perfect time for you to call. Kevin didn't get to go on CNN and complain. Kevin did not get to go on the news and say they were disrespecting his personhood. Kevin didn't get to do that. Kevin served his country honorably as a member of the military and wound up wanting to stay serving his country in the reserves and had to pay back severance. Where's the TV interview for Kevin? There's not one, because life sometimes isn't fair and sometimes tough decisions are made. And in the private sector, they do this all the time. In the private sector, you can be out of a job because a bean counter in some remote city sees you on a spreadsheet, doesn't even recognize your name, but decides cutting you would save the company some money. And no one trots that person out for some sort of fawning, sympathetic portrayal in the media. Not a single member of the media wants to interview the laid-off person in the private sector. But if it's the government and you can make Donald Trump look bad, well then, buddy, rush to the camera. They will put you on and make it all about you.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
220 Corday Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Heads up 75-85 both north and southbound, ramping onto Highway 166, Langford Parkway westbound. I think they just cleared up some debris, so those ramps should be back open. Seeing the volume pick up 75-85 south from 17th Street through Midtown. And car fire cleared on Highway 41, Cobb Parkway northbound at McCullum Parkway. Traffic brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half is here to help. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Everyone has an opinion.
Your baby is ugly.
Eric Von Hessler has an opinion.
I abhor violence. Unless it's on the football field, where it belongs.
And some advice.
A meme coin, of course, something I don't really understand. Don't ever buy one. There you go. I just gave you some great advice.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Have a leaky basement? You know, once you've had water in your basement, it's going to be a regular thing. That's why you should call AquaGuard Foundation Solutions now. They'll work with you to ensure your basement stays dry. Visit aquaguard.net for a free inspection today. Remember, AquaGuard.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, to discuss one of the biggest blind spots that people face when saving for retirement, and it's a head scratcher. Chris, how do so many people not know what they're invested in?
That's the biggest flaw that everybody runs into. They think they know what equities they have, they think they know what bonds they have, but they really don't know how those mutual funds or how those index funds are performing in conjunction with one another. So, you know, I would liken this to a big pot of soup and we're just throwing all the ingredients in the refrigerator in this thing. It's not very good. It's just a mishmash of stuff. And sometimes you like the way it tastes. Sometimes you don't. And when you don't know why. You don't know if you got too much chicken in there or too much vegetables in there or what's going on. And I ask every caller that comes in for an initial consultation, do you know how your portfolio is broken down? And they say, well, I've got, 20 or so options in my 401k, and I just picked 2 of them or 3 of them. I thought I needed some international. I thought I needed some U.S. equities. I thought I needed some bonds. And they're just guessing. So you have to absolutely know what you're invested in, and that's where we will run the 401k portfolio x-ray for you, because that'll break it down. If you're not proficient at investing and don't understand this world, we will walk you through it. Not knowing what you're invested in is a big hindrance to growing and protecting your money. We will run a portfolio x-ray for you and educate you on exactly what's in your portfolio.
Set up a time to get your complimentary portfolio x-ray today. Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858. That's 404-737-3858, or book online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Coming up from the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, a Delta classical concert featuring Robert Spano conducting Copland's Appalachian Spring and Vaughan Williams' Fifth Symphony, March 20th and 22nd at Symphony Hall. Details at aso.org.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
It's Eric. Are you thinking of adding value to your house, or just you want more convenience and more comfort in your kitchen? Frugal Kitchens can get you one of those $1 million home kitchens at a fraction of the cost. They want to talk to you about how you can go through their process, get your new dream kitchen up and going, and you can be cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get 18 months no interest financing available. It's what Christy and I have done. Life happens in your kitchen, and Frugal Kitchens can put you in a great one. FrugalKitchens.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Taking the complicated and making it simple. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, America. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. Do not forget to text DATA to 33777. Subscribe to the show notes, the podcast, and so much more. Get the daily email. Chris, I'm coming to you next. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. How are you?
I'm well, Mr. Erickson. How are you?
Great.
I was just making a comment about that lady who was on CNN crying about losing her job that we all feel sad about.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody remembers around 2012 to 2015 where a lot of good service members got pink slips and told to pack up and go home during a sequester. I remember days where if you didn't pick up a certain rank in a certain time, they told you to go home. You know, you just cut your losses.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, well, we're not supposed to care about those people, Chris. They only die for the country. They don't actually process bureaucracy.
And it's one of those things where, you know what we did? We put on our big boy pants and we went out and got a job.
God bless you.
Or found another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for people who lose their jobs, but guess what? Everywhere that we pass by, there's a now hiring sign on the window.
Amen. You're right. Thank you very much for the phone call. I'm very, very sympathetic to people who lose jobs, But as Chris said, Barack Obama did this to the military, and you didn't have a bunch of people on television crying about the loss. They went out, they found new jobs. Why is it when Donald Trump does it, suddenly we're treating federal employees as victims? Again, I'm sorry you're losing your job. I am. But you know what I'm really sorry about? We have a $35 trillion national debt that your salary contributes to, and I really don't want my children and grandchildren to be burdened with the mistakes that current policymakers and previous policymakers in Washington did, and everybody's got to sacrifice. And if that means we have to scale jobs back for the federal government, we got to scale jobs back for the federal government. You are not an indispensable person any more than anyone in the private sector is who loses their job. And if we're going to show compassion to federal employees losing their jobs, well, where's the compassion to the people in the private sector who lose their jobs? It's treated as something that just happens. What about the people at CNN who lost their jobs in their last round of layoffs? That CNN is showing more sympathy to these federal employees because of Donald Trump than they showed to the people at CNN who lost jobs. You know how many friends I have who worked at CNN who lost jobs? CNN never had those people on to talk about it, nor did MSNBC or Fox News. So why this? It's infuriating to me. The only reason they're doing it is to make Donald Trump look bad. Old Glory Bank would love to have your business. They are literally my bank. I have been a customer of Old Glory Bank now for 2+ years since they got started out of Oklahoma. A group of conservatives got together, the former governor of Oklahoma, John Rich, Larry Elder, Ben Carson, like that, and they started Old Glory Bank, a conservative bank that is by conservatives for conservatives. They were all concerned with progressive activists buying large shares in major banks and then bullying the banks to punish conservatives, debank conservatives, stop doing business with gun owners, things like that. And so Old Glory Bank came about. They would love to have your business. They have checking and savings. If you're a business, they are great for businesses. Very hands-on approach with businesses. You can fill out your account online at oldglorybank.com. Business or personal. They do home loans, mortgages, business loans, car loans, CDs, home equity lines of credit, you name it. I guess home loan, mortgage are the same thing. Oldglorybank.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender, terms and conditions apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. A McDonald's in Gwinnett County, the scene of a homicide investigation at this hour. Police tell us one man is dead and others in custody. The restaurant located at 4915 Sugarloaf Parkway. At the U.S. Senate today,
the nomination is confirmed.
Former Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler confirmed to lead the Small Business Administration. The final vote, 52-46. Both Georgia senators, Ossoff and Warnock, voted against the nomination. Ossoff says he preferred someone less political for the job. A big get for Metro Atlanta's economy. Duracell picks Midtown Atlanta for its new global headquarters for research and development.
The battery maker will invest more than $50 million in the facility at Science Square, adjacent to the Georgia Tech campus, with a planned opening date of summer 2026. With it comes 110 job opportunities. The governor's office making the announcement this morning, with Brian Kemp saying Georgia has set itself apart as a leader in attracting innovative companies with our research institutions, world-class logistics network, and pro-business environment. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
2 people are reported dead after a mid-air collision between 2 small planes in southern Arizona. Police say it happened at a regional airport about 20 miles northeast of Tucson. The FAA and NTSB are both investigating. Confidence in air travel is slipping over the past year. CBS's Linda Kenyon reports on the results of a new poll.
The Associated Press NORC poll finds 64% of adults believe air travel is very safe or somewhat safe. That's down from 71% in a previous poll. The decline suggests Americans are somewhat rattled by recent events, including the mid-air collision between an American Airlines passenger jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter in Washington, D.C.
It is now 2:32.
Did you know that warts are caused by a virus? Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. A customer at Bread Beckers shared her story of frustration. Her daughter had warts, over 500 of them. Her beautiful, healthy daughter could not get rid of warts despite trying doctors, burning, freezing, ointments, you name it. We taught this woman that every nutrient needed to protect ourselves from viruses can be found in whole grains and real bread. She bought everything needed from Bread Beckers to make her own real bread at home. With this one simple change, her daughter's warts were gone in just 2.5 weeks for good. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. If you're struggling with warts, high cholesterol, bowel issues, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first step to a healthier life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Breadbeckers, onlyrealbread.com.
Hi, I'm David Nicholas, financial advisor and president of Nicholas Wealth Management. It's hard to imagine, but one day in retirement, your income will stop. You may have been working for 30 or 40 years, but now you'll have to depend on the money you've saved for the next 30 years. How do you know if you've saved enough? What does it mean to spend confidently in retirement? One of the worst things that you can do is get to retirement and not know how much income your investments can produce. At Nicholas Wealth, we created a plan that will show you what your investments can potentially generate in dividends, interest, and growth in retirement. We call this our Spend Confidently plan. When's the best time to turn on Social Security? What are some of the best dividend-paying stocks available? Our CPAs and CFPs will show you what your income number is and how a diversified portfolio of income-producing investments could potentially provide you consistent monthly income. Our Retire Ready Income Report, it's a $1,000 value. We'll provide it completely complimentary if you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement and you give us a call in the next 10 minutes. Number to call is 404-890-5606. That's 404-890-5606, or you can go to nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth is an independent financial services firm that uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and the needs of any person. This is a paid advertisement.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Seeing some brake lights on I-85 northbound, added to cab up into Norcross, leaving 285 up past Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. Downtown, you're slowing 75-85 southbound from 17th Street, but just on and off the brakes down to I-20. And 285 southbound, the outer loop in the west on the west side. It's that merging madness in the right lanes, leaving Hollowell Parkway down to I-20, the West Freeway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy with rain showers moving out of the metro region. Temperatures dropping from the mid-40s this afternoon into the 20s through tomorrow morning.
More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
.net.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish. Yeah, it's all in the bathroom there. It's all completely free. Just take it all. It's very weird. Yeah. Odd people. Sorry, separate conversation here with my fine board operator. Now, I want to take one more phone call on this particular issue, and then I got to move on to a really sensitive subject. And so, Charlie, you can go on and close the phone lines, because I know the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to fire up phones in such a way that you're not going to want to deal with it. So you can just go deal with your kids after I take Raheem's phone call. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm great today, sir. How are you?
I'm great.
Love your topics, man. You definitely keep it entertaining.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking my call. I called in once before, but I had to call in about this subject. I'm a disabled veteran. Went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and went to Bosnia. So the female that they interviewed, I'll tell you exactly what they do. While I was in the desert, I was in the infantry on the front line. My father passed away. The Red Cross, and so I always donate money to the Red Cross. And it's set up through the military-wide, every branch. The Red Cross will pull you out of your situation, whether you're on the front line fighting, shooting bullets every day, wherever you are. They have a system in place where if something happened to your mom, your dad, a child, or a husband, they will pull you out of that situation on the front line and get you back to your family. It's a hardship. And I just hate it. I'm passionate about it because I hate when people misrepresent the military in that manner, like this young lady did. Well, she's probably my age. I'm 54, and that upsets me to the utmost because, like I said, I was on the front line, and they managed to get me out. I mean, it was a quick, Desert Storm was a quick war.
Right.
But they still managed to get me out, flew me back, and got me to my dad's funeral. And I had to fly back to Atlanta, leave Atlanta, and fly to Detroit. So, I mean, she's misrepresented. Just because you don't like whoever's in office, you don't misrepresent the military like that. And that's what got me upset. And her crying and doing all this other thing. And like I said, I'm a disabled veteran just like her. So we also get a 10% preferential treatment as far as a job. So she can apply for another government job. And when the government have jobs like this, they go on a point system. So as long as you have, and this is the key phrase, as long as you have the knowledge, the ability to do that job, you start out already with a 10% or a 10-point, because they grade it on a point system, preferential treatment over everybody else. So for her to get up there and cry and do all that, that's just horrible, man.
Listen, I appreciate the education from you on this. I really do. Thank you, too, for your service. Yeah, that part honestly didn't add up. I don't. Maybe she's on a submarine. I don't know. She's in the Navy. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Your spidey sense should have gone off too. Raheem's definitely did on that. Now I got to move on to something. And here's the thing. I'm going to really upset some people right now, and I need you to understand going into this, I'm not trying to upset or offend you. I'm really not. I just know the subject is super sensitive, but it is a relevant news subject. And because it's a relevant news subject, I got to talk about it, even though I really don't want to. I've put it off at the end. In vitro fertilization and Donald Trump's executive order trying to get the government to assist in coverage of IVF. So I'm gonna just tell you my complex views on this because I'm gonna make people on all sides mad. I believe life begins at conception. And when we engage as a society in IVF, we are creating life. And much of that life will go on to be discarded. We are creating lives knowing that many of those lives are going to be killed because we as a society desire as a biological being to perpetuate ourselves. And we value our natural reproduction over adoption and even foster care. I am not a proponent of IVF. And I don't think that we as a society should be advancing IVF cavalierly because I believe life begins at conception, and therefore I think that what we're doing as a society is creating a lot of lives to be discarded. And I have a moral, ethical problem with that. And I know that there are some people of faith who disagree with me, and there are some who have tried very hard as a matter of politics to rationalize it. And by the way, I would point out that much media coverage and ink has been spilt and words have been blathered that Donald Trump was going to ban in vitro fertilization because it was part of Project 2025. And instead, yesterday, Donald Trump signed an executive order to expand access to and provide coverage for in vitro fertilization. Now, it was essentially an advisory executive order, and by that I mean he's not actually mobilizing the government to do anything about it. He's asked the government to study ways to make it beneficial. Now, I've staked out my position on this, that I think that we should discourage IVF because it is the creation of life, and much of that life will, because of the process, be discarded. Let me now give you the other side of this. I have multiple friends who would not have kids but because of IVF. And I have a real hard time with my friends who are people of faith making the situation as simple as it is that IVF is bad, don't do that. I get it, and I can say it, but look in the eyes of someone who struggled to give birth, who's had to rely on IVF to give birth because they want a child that is their child, that looks like them, that is biologically part of them. And are you going to tell them they sinned? Let me take a different issue. Let me just trot out all the sacred cows here. Let's talk about divorce. Divorce is wrong. According to biblical principles, divorce is a sin. The only exception in the Bible for divorce is when someone commits adultery. Then you can divorce. But you're no longer compatible, you no longer get along, your husband or wife is abusive, your husband or wife is an alcoholic. Technically, no, the Bible says it's a sin to get divorced. Possible exception for abuse if that person is starting to take your life, but it's a subject where there's a pretty bright line in Scripture that divorce is unacceptable unless your spouse has cheated on you. And yet I have a whole lot of friends who not only got divorced, their second marriage has turned out way better than their first, and they've happily rebuilt a marriage. So here's my point on bringing up divorce, the sticky subject. So for those of you who are faithful Christians who think IVF is bad and also divorce is bad, how do you counsel a couple who were not believers, who in the second marriage became believers and now thought, oh my gosh, I'm technically committing adultery because I'm married a second time. So where do you go with that? Because that's actually it. That's your according to Scripture, you're essentially committing adultery by having left your first spouse for your second spouse. Now you've discovered faith. Now you've become a believer. Now you're like, uh-oh, didn't realize divorce is a sin. What do? Do I now break up the second marriage and go back to the first marriage? What if that person's remarried? What do? Bright lines are all real easy when they're in the abstract. I would advise you land on grace. Give to people that which they don't deserve. Spare them from the thing they do deserve is mercy. Recognize that God's going to sort this out. God's going to take care of it. Let him rely on him. Life is complicated. People make mistakes. People change over time. We shouldn't bind someone to the sins of the past. We should exercise grace. We should recognize that life circumstances change. It doesn't mean the bright line rule goes away. But we have all sorts of bright line rules. There's only one sin that's unpardonable. In all of the Old and New Testament, there's only one sin that is unpardonable. Every other sin can be forgiven. It's a complicated subject because it's not just emotions, it's life. You want to look into the eyes of a lady who has given birth to her first child? I know a couple that miscarried 5 times and finally had a child, and it's IVF. 5 times. They struggled to have a child. Am I supposed to denounce their child because their child is the product of IVF? It's. I don't think the government should be advancing a policy that's going to wantonly generate life that will be disposable, because essentially what it does is it commoditizes life. That's what IVF ultimately does. It commoditizes life. It turns a human being into an object. But I'm not going to throw stones at the people who are desperate for a child and go through with it. I don't think it's wise policy for the government to be promoting IVF. I don't think it's wise policy for the government to promote abortion. I don't think it's wise policy for the government to promote divorce. I think people are going to get divorced, and you got to love them, and people are going to use IVF, and you got to love them, and I think you got to be understanding, and you got to be sympathetic. I just kind of abhor the bright line rules that a lot of people want to impose, that this bad, don't do it. What about walking in the shoes of the person who feels the need to do it? What about walking in the shoes of the person who got divorced because their spouse was an addict? Yeah, technically, sin, yeah, I get it, but what do you think God's going to do at the end of the day? When they believe, when they repent, when they do all that, really? I just think sometimes that the moral issues can be the sticky issues, but what I really, really, really have a problem with is that the government oftentimes makes it so easy to do the thing that maybe the government shouldn't be making it easy to do. And that's my concern with the president's position on IVF, is that that's a human being. It may be in the very beginning stage of life, but that life is there now. We've gone beyond an egg and sperm to an actual embryo, which is a earliest form of a human being. And I don't think that we should commoditize life in a way that makes it disposable, even as we understand the desires of the parents desperate to have children. We should love them, support them, root for them. But I think the government should probably stay out of this one, and I think Donald Trump probably made a mistake with this one and needs to reconsider it. I'm sure many of you have passionate views on the subject. I try to exercise some serious empathy on an issue like this, but because it's the news of the day, I figure I should just be real honest with you where I stand on it. Now I want to stand with Americans for Prosperity, and I hope you will as well. As the Republicans, not the Democrats, the Republicans in the House and the Senate are at a big divide over how to advance tax cuts. J.D. Vance met with the Senate today. Sounds like the president really wants to give the House a chance and put Lindsey Graham on pause with his two-piece legislation path. But AFP is involved in the mix because they want to get the president's tax cuts preserved. They'd love to have you on board with them. Go to AmericansForProsperity.org today. You can be a volunteer. They're the largest leading grassroots group in the nation. You can also go to ProtectProsperity.com, ProtectProsperity.com. With that, if you go to ProtectProsperity.com, you can click the action button there on the website and reach out to your members of Congress and warm them up for supporting an extension or making permanent these tax cuts. AFP will provide you all the education and information on the path forward. ProtectProsperity.com is the website. They would love to have you on board.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
250 Cool Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Left lane crash in Lithia Springs, 20 eastbound, just past Thornton Road, exit 44. So stay to the right there. It is causing a few brake lights coming out of Douglas County. Big piece of debris in the roadway on the south side heading toward the airport. I-85 northbound at 285, straddling two left lanes there. Either a big shelf or refrigerator of some sort, but definitely want to avoid that. And continuing to watch the volume fill in downtown, 75-85 southbound, slowing from 17th Street as you make the commute down to I-20. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
If it's happening on the streets of Atlanta.
U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia announces his resignation.
If it's happening on the roads leading to Atlanta.
Some brake lights out of Cobb County, I-20 eastbound.
We've got it covered.
The U.S. Surgeon General is warning about a link between alcohol and cancer.
Your 24/7 news source.
Covering the stories that impact you.
Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 404-390-4000.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Winter is Atlanta's rainy season with nearly 14 inches of rainfall on average, and all that rain may be leaking into your basement. Christina Edwards here. If you notice cracks in your concrete wall or wet spots on the ground, my guys at American Crawl Space Solutions can diagnose and repair the problem. And they won't pressure you to make your decision on the spot like many other companies. AmericanCrawlSpaceSolutions.com, your best value for wet basement repair.
American Crawl Space Solutions, foundations too.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Governor Kemp is protecting consumers from high costs and standing with small businesses.
A failure to act on meaningful tort reform will continue to put Georgians and their livelihoods in serious jeopardy.
Georgians are paying a hidden tax because of a broken system, over $5,000 a year. Car insurance, health care, everything costs more. Call Senator Strickland at 404-656-0508. Tell him to stand with Governor Kemp and pass tort reform. Paid for by Protecting American Consumers Together.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you know how much money you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. These may feel like scary times. Several economists are saying that a recession is imminent. So what do you do? Ancient wisdom says plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have an actionable plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan is executed to take advantage of market gains, but protect you from market losses. We would like to give you a free, no-obligation consultation to help you do all three. We will help you discover your magic number and give you the roadmap to get there. Call now to schedule your free consultation. 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108. 800-508-6108. Don't wait. Call 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. Get Eric's daily show prep email. Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
Congratulations to my friend Kelly Loeffler. She's been confirmed as the Small Business Administration head with bipartisan support from her former colleagues in the United States Senate. This just in. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered senior leaders at the Pentagon to develop plans for cutting 8% from the defense budget in each of the next 5 years. 17 categories were exempted by Hegseth in his request, including border security operations, one-way attack drones, and missile defense. The memo is labeled CUI, which stands for Controlled Unclassified Information. He wants plans back by next week on February 24th for where to cut. I mean, surely there are things that can be cut at the Pentagon. Can we get rid of the F-35 and go back to the F-22, please? A way cooler jet that doesn't just randomly fall out of the sky. It actually works. The whole idea, there was such an Obama administration bit of nonsense of let's build one plane for everybody in the military to use. The Navy, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force. It's got to be able to do vertical takeoff in one model. It's got to be able to land on aircraft carriers. It's got to be able to do. No. We need lots of different planes that can do lots of cool things. The F-35 is a technical marvel, but it also falls out of the sky pretty regularly these days. I just think that we need to rethink. By the way, I do agree with Elon Musk. We need a lot of drones, but I also think that we can't just have drones. We also need pilots flying planes. It's different. The layout is different. The look is different. The view from the cockpit is different. We're going to have both. I also, by the way, agree with Donald Trump that we need less aircraft carriers and more submarines, because it's very easy for an enemy to launch a nuke to take out an entire aircraft carrier, flotilla, whatever you call it, but good luck finding an American attack submarine. In fact, a member of the Australian military very recently, this is one of the coolest quotes I've heard. Remember, the American military said it is easier to find a needle on the moon than it is to find an American attack submarine under the ocean. It is easier to find a needle on the moon than it is to find an American attack submarine. That's an impressive thing to contemplate. China, by the way, has yet to be able to make a submarine that is as quiet as an American submarine. They've certainly tried to steal the plans. But they have yet to be able to figure it out. We need more attack submarines as a deterrent, particularly somewhere hidden in the South China Sea. The waters are shallow, but the submarines can deal with it. All right, I will be back on Friday. I have to go do a super secret meeting of the vast right-wing conspiracy here tomorrow. I can't tell you anything about it, but I will be back on Friday, refreshed and revived and inspired by meeting with, well, y'all can kind of guess, but I can't really confirm or deny it. So I'll see y'all on Friday.
WSB Consumer